Mr. Dricus du Plessis. Dude.
How are you guys?
Welcome to the Thought Lab podcast.
Thank you very much.
Richie Quan.
Good.
My co-host. Thank you for being back. Much appreciated. So the period in terms of us trying to get this podcast, right, how long it took was forever. Yeah. That's how long. Between your fights and Richie's schedule and not my schedule, because like I was ready to go.
Yeah.
But dude, it's such a pleasure to finally have you on the podcast.
Oh man, thanks. Great to be here. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time in making, so
yeah
finally.
Yeah. Such a pleasure, man. And then of course we've had a little bit of technical issues. Ago the single mic. Can you believe it? Of all the times, of all the people.
Yeah.
But you know what? The show must go on.
Show must go on.
It is what it is, dude. Brew, I'm very, very, very interested to hear, and I'd like to go back a little bit in time, when your love for mixed martial arts started. You know, you're an international rock star right now, and all the ladies love you, and probably some of the guys too. Right. But where did it start, dude?
Man, I have to say, my brothers started doing judo. Well, actually, they started with karate. I never did that, luckily. I never started with karate. I was quite a bit younger. I'm the youngest of three brothers.
Okay.
One's 4 years older, and then the oldest one that's 7 years older. And they went to judo practice every night, and I was just there with them. I had to be 5 to start with judo, and I was there from I was 3 years old, I think. Yeah, they went there every night, and I just went with them because my parents were there. And when I was 5 years old, then they said I'm allowed to start, and I started training judo. And I did that until I was about 12 years old. Then we moved from Free State to Gauteng, and the coaching here wasn't great as far as judo with judo, and I started wrestling for 2 years. But I mean, for a little kid like me, being used to a gi with judo and then going to wrestling, it was so hard. I didn't like it a lot.
Badly.
And I started with boxing, just a little in some guy's garage. Lawrence is the guy's name. He's Lawrence Stokes. He used to be a very good boxer, and he coached me and a friend in his garage. And there was when I was 15 years old, there was a K1 event at Chameleon Village in Hardship. That's where I lived at the time, and I just saw this blackboard outside saying there's kickboxing fights next weekend. And I just went there and I said, listen, I want to fight. And I was quite a big 15-year-old.
Okay.
And
you're a big 23-year-old,
yes,
24-year-old, dude.
And they said, okay, cool, you can fight. And I said, nice. And I went to my dad and I was like, hey, I'm going to fight next week. And he's like, what do you mean you're going to fight? And I'm like, no, I'm going to fight. Like, he's like, what do you mean? What type of fighting? I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. But I watched this movie once, and they were fighting on that movie, and I loved that. So I'm going to do that. I wasn't even sure what the rules were. And that was a K1 fight. And they actually entered me as a senior. They thought I was senior. I fought a guy that's 30 years old and I was 15. This
Holy
guy gets
shit.
there, and his wife and his 2 kids are there next to the ring. My dad's like, there's no way, this guy has a beard, you can't fight him, you're gonna die. And I was like, no, don't worry about it, man, I'm already here. So my training basically consists of about 5 minutes of bag work a day.
Okay.
My brother bought me
movies.
That's it. I didn't even know.
And what
YouTube
movie
thing.
was it, bro?
Never Back Down, number 1. I was 14 when I watched it, so
I don't know how to argue with that.
That's how it started. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I went to my dad was like, there's no way you can fight this guy. And I was like, well, I'm already here. I trained my ass off for this fight. I trained 2 weeks. That's how long I trained. My brother bought me a boxing bag, and I did about 5 minutes of just hitting the bag as hard as I could. And I was tired, and I was like, okay, I'm tired now, I'm going to stop.
That's
and
it,
then 5 minutes a day, and I went to that fight, and I won by knockout in 18 seconds into the fight. I mean, if you look at that fight, I still have it on video.
Really?
It's crazy. I have it on video. I literally slapped this. I just went crazy, and I hit him with a knee in the face, and he went down 18 seconds in. And I was like, yes, this is the coolest feeling ever. And that's where it all started. That's when I said, this is what
Never
I want to do.
back down. Dude, this is the best. Already, this is the best podcast ever.
Yes, see, that was man. That was the way it started. And that's what I wanted to.
And from then on, did you know? You were like,
I knew. I was like, yes, this is the coolest feeling in the world.
I'm balls deep into fighting.
Yeah, and then after like my 3rd fight, I fought a guy who was actually a proper fighter, and he destroyed me. He just low kicks. Yes, he was killing me, and the fight went 3 rounds. And I said, okay, I guess you have to be fit for this sport. You can't just go in and try to knock everybody out.
Yeah, 18-second knockouts on your first fight aren't the norm.
Yeah, my second fight was also like a 2-minute in knockout, and it just didn't get tired. But after you go 3 rounds, you're like, yes, I need to get fit for this. And that's when I started taking it more seriously, and I got my first coach after my 4th fight.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I got
And-
a coach, and
Fourth fight.
Fourth fight.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous,
and
dude.
then I got my first coach. And
And who was that? And what
it's
style
a
was
guy-
that?
That was kickboxing style,
Okay.
K1.
K1?
But he wasn't really a kickboxing coach. He was a K1 coach. He didn't know anything about luggage. He was more of a semi and light points fighter
Okay.
type of vibe. So it wasn't really like full contact. But I was the only full contact fighter in the club.
Sure.
So I mean that didn't help. And then I went to Francois Landsberg, who's an actual K1 coach.
Okay.
And I went to him after winning my first SA champs in K1, and I went to train with him to prepare for my world championship.
And how long from when you started until you won SA Champs?
1 year, 1.5 years.
Okay.
And then I got picked for the SA team to go fight in world champs in Slovakia, and that was 3 years after. So I started my first fight.
So you were like 17, 18 years
Yeah,
old?
18 years old
18
when I
years
fought world champs, and then I went to Francois Landsberg to start preparing for the world champs, and he was an actual K1 coach. So then that's the first time I really got to learn proper low kicks and that, the K1 style. And after that, I told him I want to do MMA. That's what I want to do this, and he put me in touch with CIT, and that's how.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean that's before that. I even trained at FFM for a while.
Oh, really, Rich?
Yeah, I mean from driving from Arties, it was a far
Saturday.
drive. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I was there every Saturday, but for like a few months I was there every day. In the week as well, my dad would drive me through. It's quite a far drive.
It is a far drive,
problem
mate.
from
It is a far
Arties there,
drive.
so-
And I mean, you from Huntley to Pretoria is better.
Yeah, from Arties. Yeah, what would usually happen is the boxing class was like at 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, and then at 8 to 9 was the last class. That was the gi rolling class, and I would stay there from 3 to
Go
8
through.
to
So when did you actually have that discussion in your head saying like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously, it's gonna be my job?
So what happened was I got a bursary to go play rugby at Tix, to play rugby for.
Okay.
I got a bursary to go play rugby at Tix, and then that would have been my career. They paid my studies, everything, and that's
Sure.
a great. I mean, that's something I've been working towards, because rugby is a big love of mine. I've played rugby my whole life.
But you're Afrikaans and you're South
That's
African.
it, and that's how you know. And just as we were about to do it, it was in the December month. I told my dad, listen, I don't think I can take this deal. And he was like, what do you mean you can't take this deal? And I'm like, no, I don't want to play rugby professionally. I want to fight professionally. He was like, okay, if you want to fight, what are you going to do for money? And I said, I don't really know, but I want to do that. I mean, then I was still an amateur. I was paying to fight. I had to enter competitions paying $200 to fight.
To fight, yeah.
And I mean, I had 1 or 2 MMA fights because there was no K1 fights. I just get in a cage and fight MMA, but I didn't train it at all. So he was like, okay, how are you going to make money? And I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, but it will come. I'll just do what I do, and hopefully I'll study.
Yeah.
But now he had to pay for my studies. It wasn't.
You couldn't pay for your studies yourself. Yeah.
And it wasn't the bursary anymore because I didn't play rugby at all.
Mm.
So that's why I told him I'm picking fighting. I can stop playing rugby, I think, but I won't never be able to stop fighting. And if I choose one professionally, I have to stop the other.
And when did this conversation take place in your head? How old are you?
I would say 17 years old.
Oh, really? That
17
young,
years
eh?
old, yeah.
Really?
Definitely 17 years old. I mean, every as soon as I started taking K1 seriously, I started to realize, listen, you have to take this seriously. And I just saw the other guys that didn't take it seriously always losing, and I was like, well, I wouldn't want that at all.
Yeah.
I never lost as a K1 fighter, and I was the first WACO world champion in K1, South African.
Yeah.
And
your amateur record?
yeah,
No losses?
Yeah, 33 wins, 30 knockouts.
And you've got 1 loss as a pro?
Yeah, I have 1 loss as a pro.
But amateurs, you didn't even have an amateur, right?
Yeah, no, I
You
didn't.
went straight into pro MMA. You never had one.
Oh, you didn't have any amateur MMA
no,
I
fights?
didn't have.
Of course, you had.
Yeah, there was a fight that I was at the event, and I wanted to fight this guy Enrico, and that was the only amateur MMA fight I had. It was I came there for a K1 fight, and there was nobody on my weight for K1. They said, well, this guy, he's also a senior. I was 16. He fights MMA only. So I was like, well, I want to fight. I don't care what style it is. Let's just fight. And the funniest thing in the world, I mean, I'm there for a K1 fight. I've never done grappling. I didn't do grappling, anything like that.
Sure.
the first thing I did when this fight started is I tackled this hook into the ground and started hitting him. And I'm like, why would you do that? I'm a one guy. I don't train every ground. I just tackled this hook and started hitting him on the ground.
It's funny, you say that you didn't have any grappling. So my earliest memory of Dricus is Nathan's old gym there in Bruma.
Quantum Tribe, that's
Remember?
it.
Did you come to Quantum?
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll tell you the story. I don't know if he remembers it. I'm sure he does.
'Cause I was a coach
dude,
there.
that was my first.
So we went to a competition.
event.
there.
I fought under FFM
Yeah.
still that
And,
competition.
Dricus rocked up like this. He's never done a competition. He had maybe done a handful of classes. Like when I even saw him, I was like, "Hey, you here?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm here to fight." I was like, "Oh, okay." He white belt, put his gear on, absolutely destroyed everyone. Like
Right.
everyone. His division, absolute, and I was like, "Wow, this is a strong Dutchman." This is a strong Dutchman.
I'm trying to remember.
I remember that very well.
The earliest memory for me of Dricus, and I was like, "Yes, this kid's special," because
Yeah.
like I hadn't seen him for a while. Maybe I think he was busy, obviously, because he was
Yeah.
traveling. But he rocked up with his dad, put his gear on. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna compete."
Let's
and
go.
He just went and cleaned
Yeah,
everyone
and I mean,
out.
I
Holy
fought with
shit.
gear. I've never even trained gi before
Yeah,
that.
no. It was the first time I seen you in the
entered
gi.
with gi and no gi. And
Do you know I was probably there that day?
You
Yes.
Because
probably
I mean,
were.
I was a coach at Quantum and I helped
Yeah.
with all the.
Yes, I was
all the
16, 17 years old then. I was very young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have been there.
I think competition's in this guy's blood. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's the thing.
Yeah, I
well,
think,
you know, skills can be taught, technique can be taught, but you can't teach heart.
No, 100%.
Right.
And the cool thing is, I think being the youngest of three brothers absolutely helped me. You know, my oldest brother played professional rugby.
Okay,
Um,
and they probably beat you.
yeah, he
up
was.
and-
That's the thing. Like he was a big, strong guy. He was
Is he bigger than you?
he's shorter than me. He's not. He's a
Okay.
little. He has a little bit of a stomach now. You know, he's a dad now. He has a
Okay,
dad
he's
bod.
got a dad bod.
Yeah, he's got a dad bod. But you know, me and Neil as well, my middle brother, he also played very, very good rugby. He also chose his studies above rugby. You know, I think he could have honestly, he was a very, very good rugby player. Probably the best of the three of us as far as the mentality of rugby goes. But he's a lawyer and he's also a professional fighter. He has 3 pro fights. Yeah, I think growing up that way, that's what made me so competitive. I mean, with 3 brothers, that's what
Absolutely.
it's about. Yes, you're competing in everything.
Everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
we grew
Yeah,
up
who can
riding
eat their
bikes.
fucking dinner the quickest?
But I also think like maybe tell people about like your 3 brothers have a big role, but your dad plays a massive
100%. I think for me, my dad, you know, I mean, that's ridiculous. If I think about it now, you know, when I was younger, that was like, you kind of take it for granted that, you know, I want to go there, take me there, I want to go train. So
Sure.
I mean, driving me from there every day, and my dad's never missed an amateur fight, never missed a pro fight. He's always there. He's never missed one of my fights
Wow.
ever. When I played rugby, he'd never miss any of our games. So all 3 of us, I mean, he would never miss a game. He would never miss a fight, anything. Even if we were just grappling. Even now, I mean, if I'm doing grappling comp now, my dad will be there. Like, he won't miss it.
But I mean, you know, you think about the logistics of that. Okay, so you're an hour and away from Hutties to FFM for argument's sake, right? So it's an hour there, then it's an hour's training, then it's an hour back. I mean, if I think about it as a professional, for me to give up 3 hours a day or 3 hours 4 times a week, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing people don't always realize is, you know, being a professional is great, but you know, you have to remember always as a professional is you can never lose that hunger you had when you started, because that's
Yes.
if that goes, then
what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
When I was in matric, I was the captain of the first team rugby, so I had to be at rugby practice every single day, but fighting was already in my mind the number 1 sport for me. That was when I already made up my mind that this is what I want to do, but I had to prove it in some kind of way.
Sure.
So I was preparing for World Champs in 2012. That's when it was. I was in matric. So every day there was no time after school for gym work. Like as far as weight and that's concerned, I was making sure I'm getting in the gym every day because I had to, you know, build muscle. I was quite a skinny guy, so I had to make sure for rugby.
I was really hoping you're a skinny little gamer nerd.
Yeah, no,
Because that would be the
wasn't-
perfect story, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't say that.
This guy was born with abs.
Yes.
Every
Yeah.
time I've seen him since a kid,
He's had abs.
Yeah, yes,
abs,
that's the skinny part helps you with that.
yeah.
So in matric, I would.
Abs on a skinny kid is like boobs on a fat
Yeah,
chick.
exactly. Yeah. So I was like, I had to get some kind of muscle so the abs actually they
Look
look
good,
like something.
yeah.
I would be in the gym every morning because in matric, then I didn't have time after school anymore because I was traveling to Pretoria. Then I joined CIT already. I was traveling to Pretoria. That stage, I was training K1 and MMA at CIT. So I did.
Jeez,
So what happened was every morning I would wake up at 4:30 in the mornings. At 5 I'd be in the gym till 6. Go home, get dressed for school, go to school. After school it was rugby practice, and at 4 I'd leave Hutties to Pretoria, train with CIT from 5 to 7, from 7 to 9, leave there 7:30 to 9 o'clock in Pretoria West. I train K1 from 9 o'clock, get home around 10, sleep, same thing in the morning. So it wasn't a lot.
And did you do that through standard dynamo trick?
Yeah, that was matric the whole year.
Sweet
That
baby
was-
Jesus, dude.
So I mean,
So when did that all change now?
when did
Like, so did you go to university? I know you
Yeah.
said that you did you graduate? When
so
did it all
what
change?
happened was then I said to my dad, listen, I need to be in Pretoria. That's when my gym, and he's like, yeah, but you have to study. And I was like, yeah, no, 100%. I went to study agriculture economics at University of Pretoria.
Okay.
So that was actually, it worked out perfect. I lived with my brother and them in a commune. They weren't sport. I mean, they were just studying, so they were partying the whole time and
Yeah.
everything. So it was, I had a completely different student life than a usual student did, because I was there to fight in my mind. And then I started studying. I was in my final year when I got my second title shot. So and
Yeah,
that's
that's
when I called and said, listen, I'm doing this. It's all or nothing. Because my first title shot I had, I was still studying.
Yeah, and how
And,
old were you when you first had your first title fight?
I just turned 20.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was after my fourth fight. After my
think
fourth.
you-
that was the Russia,
I think you're
right?
the second youngest
No, my
champ.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second youngest champ, and he's the youngest, obviously, double champ.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah.
second young-
Because
and-
you beat Bahati at middleweight,
Yeah.
right? You beat the Russia at welterweight,
Yeah.
which is the two titles you have at EFC.
So my first title fight, I fought against Gareth McLellan. So that was the first,
okay.
my first fight.
Okay,
After that fight, and I was studying, doing everything, and when
And
I,
that's your only loss.
yeah, and then I had to fight my way back up, and I went to welterweight, and when I got the second shot against Martin, I said, no, listen, this is now I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I have to make a choice, because now I'm training, thinking about studies, because I was a final year, so it was my final year of studies. So it's a lot. First 2 years it was easy. I mean, to balance it
Course.
out. I mean, first year, second year
Of
in
course,
studies
but,
wasn't
but
hard.
third year shit
But
gets real,
third year,
dude.
then it's
Yeah, and now,
practicals and
now
all that.
shit's getting real, and you're busy fighting
And
for
the
title
fighting,
fights.
yeah. And then I was like, yes, yeah, okay. I have to make a choice here, because I'm training, thinking about studies. I'm studying and thinking about training. So both it's going downhill. And I told my dad, listen, I have to choose one. And he was obviously wasn't happy at all. And I told him, listen, this is something I have to do. I can have all the degrees in the world. It's not going to make me happy. And I can do.
Well, you can always go back.
If I get in an accident and I lose my leg, I can go and get
Exactly.
100 degrees if I want to.
Exactly.
But I only have one chance in life in doing what I love.
So do you think you'll ever go back and finish this degree?
It's hard to say. I would definitely say I would go and do a degree or a diploma in something.
Okay.
Because but for now, it's just now that the way I'm training now, the way my day goes, I can't even think that I am training. I'm busy with so many things now at the gym and all that stuff. But it's probably the best choice I've made in my whole life. No, it's not that I'm saying everybody stop your studies. You have to have that balance.
No, but there's a very big difference between choosing not to study because I have the heart, I have the technique, I have the abilities, and I have the potential to become something special, as opposed to me, for argument's sake, trying to do that now. I mean, that's ridiculous, dude. In my opinion, and I mean, not that my opinion matters, but in my opinion, I think you made the right call, dude. You can go back and study any time.
That's what I
You're in
told
your-
my dad. I
you're
told
in
him,
your
listen,
prime,
give me a chance. This
Prove
might
yourself.
maybe this is not the best option.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna lose this fight, cool. I'll go back to studying. Then obviously I don't have what it takes to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
But the only way I'll know that is I really give it my all.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I knew.
And that was for the Bahati
that
fight,
was,
eh?
no, that was for
for
my first
Martin.
fight to Martin van Staden.
Okay.
My fight against Martin, and that's yeah, that was at the end of the year. So our fight was in June. That was the previous December. I told him, okay, I'm not going back next year. I'm
That's it, I'm
focusing
done.
on, and from there, my career, it's almost like my career just went.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, singular focus, right?
yeah, I mean, from doing one session a day to doing 3 sessions a day with proper recovering, doing a session, being able to go get a little bit of sleep, do an ice bath, go to the physio, and now that I think about it, like I get home at every night.
Mm.
I'm training 3 sessions a day, 2-3 sessions depending on how I feel. I'm at the physio, or I'm at doing something.
Well, you become a professional.
That's it.
Because it's not just you become a professional athlete.
A professional athlete.
That's it.
It's not a
It's
hobby
way bigger than
anymore.
just training, bud.
Yeah. And if you look at the
Look
way
at
the
my
sport's
Gabby
going,
hand,
there's
dude.
just no.
You have to.
There's just no more. I mean, there's no way I can compete with the rest of the guys if you didn't do it that way.
Not to the level now. 5-6 years ago, yes.
Definitely.
5-6 years ago,
Because
without
everybody
a doubt.
was doing it that way. Everybody was
Exactly.
working, training a little. No,
Exactly.
it's-
But I mean, you take just some of your team members, right? You take some of Richie's team members, right? His guys. You take a professional athlete and you put them up against a part-time grappler, a part-time boxer, a part-time Muay Thai guy, right? And the skill level is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, and I
Simple
mean
as
that's
that.
why I respect guys so much that work and do this. It's
Yeah.
I mean, like
It's
the
so
Burskies. I have to say the Burskies.
Yeah, the Burskies do it.
It's unbelievable. Those guys work so hard. I mean, every
Liam
morning
did it
at 5.
for how long?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you can phone Gareth. Like sometimes he sends me a message, Gareth Bursky, and Dave. They send me a message at 4-5 a.m. saying, "Yeah, what's up? What's doing today? What?" And I'm just like, "What are you doing, man? I'm sleeping." I say, "I'm not gonna."
Yeah,
And
they
then I
training.
wake up at 6. My day starts at 5. Our training starts. They get there from grafting. The
Yeah.
whole day being on site, get there and they train. I mean, if those guys are in fight camp, they don't miss a session ever. They
Yeah.
do 2 sessions a day. Gareth Bursky would be doing a 15K at 4 in the morning, going to his job. At 5 he'll be at
Yeah.
training as hard as he could.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's commitment right there.
But
That's
you
incredible.
part of and some of your fighters, Rich, are part of the new wave.
Yeah.
The second generation.
That's
The second gen. I mean, we look at you look at when EFC first started. I mean, I was there for EFC 1 or 2 when Nathan Roths, my coach back then, fought Chris Bright.
Chris Bright, I watched that fight. I wasn't
best
allowed-
grappling
I was like 14
best
then,
grappling EFC fight ever.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But
I
it was
remember that.
fucking incredible fight. I mean, I was there and I was helping, and even Nate at that time, his job was jiu-jitsu, and he trained hard, but his idea and our idea back then of what training was versus what it is today,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
fucking night and
Training
day,
hard
dude.
and training hard is 2 different
Yes.
things. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
you can't even.
Yeah, we've grown, man, and we've learned, and you guys are part of second gen, and I can only imagine what's happening now with the guys who are where they're going to go. So for argument's sake, I've got 1 or 2 young fighters, amateurs, like Gift and Nathaniel. These kids are 18, they're about to put blue belt, they've been fighting for the last 5 years, they training the way
That's the
way
thing.
we should be
I
training.
mean,
they're not damaging their body the way we fucked up our body.
That's the problem was with me.
Yes,
I mean, I was
bud.
training 6 hours a day, going the fight 2 minutes in that fight. I'm gassed. I'm like,
Yeah.
how does this happen? How do I train
Yeah.
harder? I can't do it. And that's
Being
when you realize,
intelligent.
listen,
Yeah,
now I'm training much less, but I'm getting so much more results. It's like
it's ridiculous.
when I started training with Scott McIntosh at the yard. That was the first. I mean, I only started with Scott just before the fight with Martin. Before that, I didn't have any conditioning coach. I did my own conditioning. I would get some weights. I was in the gym every day.
That's it. Heavyweights,
picking up
eh?
weights,
Heavyweights. Yeah.
Training like a bodybuilder, running.
Exactly.
Yes, I didn't like running, so I'd run like once a week or something, some weeks. And that was my fitness was training.
Yep.
That was when we sparred. I got tired, so I guess that made me fit. But every fight comes after round 1. I'm like, yes, see,
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
Now it's
Then I
about
started-
quality though.
Yeah,
Now
that's
it's
it.
about quality. And never mind that, what's happened now is when you're training with highly skilled training partners, right? Our whole goal, especially for when somebody's in fight camp, is to the preservation of that person. Do you know what I mean?
To give him the workout
Yes, I
and
could have got
without
that
injury.
arm bar, but I didn't try and pull his arm off because he's fighting. I mean, when we first started jiu-jitsu, dude, like we used to call it the lion's den, right? I mean, if we walked away from a class and I didn't have a blue on, I didn't have armbar arm, and I wasn't choked unconscious, I had a good night
Yeah, it was a.
because we didn't know any better.
Yeah, that's.
My coach was a white belt 3-stripe. My coach was a white when I started jiu-jitsu.
Jeez.
So you take my first 3 years of jiu-jitsu, and this is not even remotely putting Nathan down, but because remember, he was a white belt, right? My first 3 years of jiu-jitsu, I can give that to my students right now based on our program, with Coach Quan. I can give that in 4 months.
No, that's it. I mean, and that's why that's the thing. I mean, even when I started at CIT, man, yes, we've grown so much as a team. And the way we do things, I mean, yes, way back then.
Well, tell us a day back in those days.
Yes. Give us a typical day back in the day.
So my first fight, I have a photo of that. I'll show you guys. My first fight. So how we did it back then when I started, just that's 2013. We would do it sparring. We'd train so hard up until a week before the fight. Your last sparring. Your hardest sparring is the week before the fight.
Really?
Then you don't do anything for a week. You don't do anything. Like literally, you don't go training. I just sit there at home and chill. Then you go on fight night and then you go and roll because now you're recovered. That's the worst thing you can do. You know, your body goes into recovery mode basically.
Yeah.
You know how slow you are. That's how unfit you are. It's like the week after a fight. You feel so that week. It feels like you're so unfit.
And you guys were fighting them.
That's when we were like, okay, cool, you take the week off now and now you go and you fight. And I mean, that last sparring, my first fight, my debut, that's when we still fought on Thursday nights.
Yes.
The Thursday before that we sparred and Michiel kneed me straight in the face. Like I was so tired. I did double fight distance, like 6 rounds. And I was like this against the cage. And Michiel just took my head and he kneed me. Bah! Straight on the nose. And my nose was like... And that was a week before, broken completely like this, and I'm like, and I fell there, and Michiel just went like, come on, now it's like there's 2 rounds left, there we go, and I went on.
Yeah.
This nose inside was so like, look at it still.
Yes.
It's closed up completely.
Really? And that from that
event, so
you can.
I thought that. So what we did, I get there the Monday, and my nose, it's like. This bridge is literally like a cauliflower in your nose. So this bridge, the skin lifted, there's blood in. And Michiel looks at it, and he goes like, "No, I have a plan. Bring me. No, I have it in my bag." And he takes a needle and a syringe, and he's like, "No, it's the same like cauliflower. Don't worry." And I'm like, "What? What are you doing with that thing? What the fuck are you gonna put that thing in my nose?" And he's like, "No, don't worry. The only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the blood, then you'll be able to breathe again." I'm like, "Okay." He takes that thing, they hold me down, he takes that thing, he puts it into my nose.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, are you fucking kidding me?
I have a photo while he's doing that. There's so much blood in that syringe. He takes it out of my nose and I'm like, I can breathe again, that's awesome. And he's like, cool. And then we went on the training, great. 15 minutes in, I'm like, Michiel, it's filled up again. He's like, shit. Okay, so it's definitely like cauliflower. Like, if you can pull it out, it's just going to fill up
It's going to fill up, yeah.
And he's like, no, just come to my office, his chiropractic office. I have some stuff, like, it helps, like, with the inflammation. Then he took a drip needle, put it in my nose. The same thing. Yes, it was so sore. He put that drip needle in, he took out the blood, then he took another syringe and he put other stuff inside for the inflammation. It didn't work, obviously. So the only other game plan we could come up with was warm up for the fight, because I couldn't breathe because my nose was completely swollen inside. Warm up. As soon as they tell us you have to go out, Michiel had his syringe ready.
And
so I warmed up and I was ready to go, and they were like, okay, you're up next. Michiel took that syringe, drew it out.
Now you got 15
He's
minutes,
like, you have
bro.
15 minutes, man. You have to make this quick. You have 15 minutes. And I had an operation after that. They had to reconstruct my nose directly after that, after the fight. I literally I fought the Thursday, the Saturday I was in for operation.
Wow.
And no, that was how it goes. I mean, when I got
it's
there,
ridiculous, dude.
I just got, when I got there, that's on the ground. I just got destroyed the whole time. Michiel I would be on top, and I was like, what can I do? This is training for his fight. I don't even know ground. I just know how to rugby tackle him, get him on the floor, and I'm on top. He's in guard. He pulls guard, and I'm like, and he's hitting me with elbows from the bottom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. You're on the bottom. I don't know what to do. And it's just, I mean, that was how it is. And there's quite a few of those the way we trained then that we still kept because of the character built.
Yeah, and the traditions.
And the traditions.
But providing it doesn't.
Listen, if you're the new guy there on a Friday, you better know people are they're gonna go for you. But it's not that we're going there to hurt anybody. It's to see if you have that.
Have you got it?
Have you got it? Yeah,
the spark.
It's it, and not everybody has that.
Yeah.
And some people you can see, okay, we have to build on that.
Yes.
Like some guys will literally say, listen, this guy is not as tough yet.
But he can be.
He can be. He has
Absolutely.
the will to do it. You have to, get him harder. He has to get used to the punches.
Of course.
Because and then you get other guys that, once you do that to them, you get that other side of them. They just go and then you see, okay, this guy, this kind of fight is you have to know when this guy goes into a fight and he gets hit.
His head
switches.
Yeah,
so
so
you
you
have to
actually
make
have to do
sure
the opposite.
You have to make sure, listen,
Exactly.
this guy stays calm.
Exactly.
So and because you can never really see somebody how they will react if they didn't get a hard punch, if they didn't get rocked, if they didn't get a cut. You know,
Yeah.
if they got a proper kick in the face.
Well, iron is forged in temperature. I mean, that's
yeah,
essentially
that's
what
it.
it
So,
is, isn't it?
I mean, and now, I mean, we don't do that every day. We don't do
Of
that
course not.
all the time. It's because that's, you know, we would run back then with tires, run a 5K for warm up with a tire or a bag of cement or something like that. The guys would get there the next day, the knees will be swollen with water because of the running downhill and uphill with tires. It's just the worst thing, because that's what we thought was getting
that's how
correct.
you become tough, right?
That's how you become tough. I mean, and that's actually the worst things. I mean, but that's how cool it is to see where you've gone and how fast. I mean, that's only like
it's only 5 years ago.
5 years
Exactly.
ago. And how
Well, the good thing
it is now.
for you is that was still when you were young and your body could
Take
recover.
that.
You know, I mean, imagine if you had done that for 3 or 4 years at the age of 25,
That's
26,
it. And
27.
then you wasted those years, and
Because that's what I did. I mean, I started jiu-jitsu when I was 21.
yeah. And
you
I
know,
mean,
so
there's
my
so many
first 5 or
guys now
6
that,
years was-
I feel bad for them, because I'm like, yes, look at this guy under those circumstances. What a great fighter he is.
Yeah.
Imagine if that guy could have had the kind of training, coaching, and knowledge
Now.
when he was that age. I mean, if you look at a guy like Leon Maynard, if that guy could have been a youngster
Oh, I know,
in this
right?
day and age, he would have been
Crazy.
it's
Dude,
unbelievable.
to this day, he's still one of my favorite fighters.
Listen, that oak
And
is
still to this day, one of my favorite fights is him versus Boyd.
Yeah.
he's a true martial artist. That's
Man, he's a lion. He's a
a-
fucking savage.
that
How
guy
can
is
you
a-
not respect that guy? It doesn't matter how he's fought.
That
You
guy-
gotta love him.
That's the thing is with Leon. For him, it was never about any show. He actually hated all that. It's all about one thing, and that's
The fight.
Yeah.
let's go, let's roll. I mean,
Yeah.
talk to that guy before a fight. I would stand there before he started defenses or before his fight, and I'll be like, "How you feeling, man?" He's like, "What do you mean how I'm feeling?" And I'm like, "Are you stressed?" He's like, "Why would I be stressed?" And I'm like, "Because you're fighting." And he's like, "Well, I knew I was fighting like 4 months ago, so why the fuck would I
That's
stress
a
about
good
it
response.
now?" You'll be like, "I knew when I came here I was fighting,
Yeah.
so why would I stress about it now?" I mean, I knew that's what
But
he didn't. That guy's heart rate, he'd go out to the cage, after his warm up, get him a little bit down, he'd go into that cage under 100 heart rate. I mean, if I walk out there, I guess my heart rate's probably like 200. I'm like, yes, you're ready to go.
But I'll tell you what, like there are certain people, and I think it's genetic. I think you're born with it, right? I don't think you can teach big match temperament like Leon.
That's it.
That's built into you, dude. You know, you can better your big match temperaments, but to have it to that degree, I mean, that's insane. There are guys in club, right? And I mean, I've got an example. I don't want to use his name, but this guy is a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's an absolute savage. What a phenomenal club fighter. But put him in that change room just before a fight, and he dies.
No,
He
that's
just
it.
dies.
No,
It's the end of him.
You see that so often in fights. I mean, you talk to people so many times, and they're like, "This guy's brilliant." I'm like, "Well, I've seen him fight, and he's not that brilliant, man." And they're like, "No, this guy is brilliant." And when you see that guy in the gym, you're like,
I know, he's
"What?"
incredible.
But
Yeah.
that the big lights, it's just
Yeah, that's a mental aspect
That's
that the
100%.
coach needs to fix. That's a mental game.
Yeah, and I think in certain instances you can fix it. I think in certain instances you can enhance it, right? But to have it born into you like Leon, I think that's special,
You also
man.
forget where Leon comes from.
and the other, that's it. Where it comes from, and then you forget how long has Leon been
That's what I
doing
mean.
this.
Yeah,
He was just, I think,
14, 15, and
when I came to the country only 10 years ago, like the first guy I heard about was Leon.
I mean, that guy
Yeah.
was a K1. He was unmatched in K1.
Yeah.
There was nobody that can come close to him.
Yeah.
It was just, and professionally, he was.
and you know that gets back to what our last podcast was, Rich, when we had a chat with Big Al, right? With regards to the amount of time these guys need to spend at amateur
Yeah.
before they get to pro.
Yes.
I mean, you did it ass about face,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
From an MMA point of view.
From an MMA point of view, but
not
like a
K1.
lot of people say that, listen, but you didn't have amateur fights, and I'm like, no, I didn't have MMA amateur fights, but I had that experience of competition.
Yeah, but what matters
And
is
fighting.
you entered pro, and it didn't break you.
Yeah.
You didn't massively injure yourself. I mean, other than
Other
but
than
that
the
was-
training.
Yeah, other than the training. But the problem is when these amateurs walk in there and it becomes career ending for them.
That's it.
Right? Do you agree, Rich?
So many guys.
Yeah, I also think there's certain individuals like Dricus that have a mindset that not a lot of people have.
Yes.
You understand? Already, you listen to his story, the professionalism he had as a young kid. You know, and that mindset of this guy will never give up. Like, I know him because obviously of the industry, and when he was younger, like, he's always had that mindset. Now, you can have a super talented individual, and I've had them in my gym as well, and Dricus has fought some of them, but his mindset's stronger than them.
Yes.
And that's what I think there is a difference, I think, between a lot of individuals.
That's it.
You can't build that in someone. Like,
Heart
he had that,
and discipline.
Yeah, he had that before he entered the sport.
Yes.
And that's
Well, what does Jocko Willink say? Hey, discipline equals freedom.
my point,
100%.
yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
read that this morning. It's
Oh,
very
really?
Funny, yeah.
Yeah.
His Jocko was here like
Yeah, I watched.
2 years
Actually,
ago,
saw it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw the post. I actually read his story on him this morning,
Yeah.
and that was the exact quote that there was.
Yeah.
But that's it. I think, and now only. I mean, if you talked about mental training in MMA 2 years ago, people would have looked at you like, "What are you
Yeah.
saying?" Or 3 years ago, people would have said, "What are you saying?" Now, I mean, if I look at myself, I realize, and at other fighters, like you just said, then you realize how important the mental side of this game is.
course.
I mean, it's literally just as important as the physical part.
Yeah.
And so many guys
I couldn't agree more.
You can't fight if you're mentally, you're not. You get two kinds of guys. Some guys, once they step in there, they're like, they're just too afraid because mentally they got broken because of the pressure. Then you get other guys, once they get in there, they just go crazy. And I'm like, no, just chill. Yes, you're going to get
Yeah.
tired.
maybe you can, if you want to talk about it, like my biggest thing was watching Dricus, and it was actually for me, the decision I made when I watched his last fight at KSW. Tell us your process at weigh-ins.
At weigh-ins, well, yeah, I mean, with that guy at the weigh-ins, it was, this guy, I could see, this guy was very worried about how he looks. You know, you can see he likes his body, he likes to look.
Soldic, eh?
Yeah, so you can see, like, that's gym body, you can see it. You can see that's picking up weights, you can see it means a lot to him. And he's used to being the bigger guy. And when I got in there, I knew the way to get this guy is, I have to, make sure that he knows that I'm not afraid, I'm not intimidated at all by him. And for the first time ever, he had a guy that's physically
Bigger.
and looks the part against him. And
Got
you
you.
can see it in that one photo. That's the coolest photo, is where he's the champion. And as we were facing down, he was facing down, he was backing off. And I mean, that's fine. Some people, that's how
That's
they
their
approach.
process.
That's their approach.
Yeah.
approach. And then there's a photo as we finished face off, and I went like this. And then the photo is literally him looking at me like, but you can see in his eyes like, look at this guy's abs. He's looking at it. And, when I saw that photo, I was like, you can see that's something that got to him.
Got
into his head. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's some guys you can see that's what they want. They want that reaction, reaction of retaliating. When you fight a guy like Yannick Bahati, he wants that retaliation.
Yeah.
You don't give it to him.
Yeah.
His game just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So do you work with a mental coach? right
Yeah,
now?
that's him right there. He's my mental coach. And as far as our mental coaching goes, it's some exercises that we do. We're doing just a few exercises and more of a life coaching. Seeing he lives with me as well, so you can see every time.
What's your mental coach's name?
Henny.
Henny.
Yes.
Henny's sitting in
In the studio.
yeah,
In the
and he's busy scrutinizing everything that Dricus says, and afterwards is going to be, hey, listen, my buddy.
And what's cool is he focuses a lot more on me than my opponents, making sure that the way that I don't prepare mentally for what they bring for. I have to make sure that I'm ready for
That's it.
for whatever comes to play. And it's basically maintaining much more than and preventing much more than trying to fix. Because some guys break mentally at some stage or something happens, and then they have to start all over, and then it's a whole
Correct.
process.
Well, almost like prevention is better than cure, right?
100%, and
Yeah.
making sure. I mean, I don't have a problem mentally when I fight at all. Nothing at all. But I feel mentally very strong. I've always had, before I had a mental coach, even thinking of mentality and fighting, and I'm lucky in that way, I guess. I got that gift, and with Henny, he's just making sure, he's always like, there's nothing wrong. We just have to maintain and make sure
That's it.
that it doesn't, because as you go higher up,
The
before the pressure, you think it doesn't touch you. You're like, I don't care about that.
course.
But before you know it,
course.
it's and then it's a process to fix that.
Yeah.
Instead of just preventing it from the start.
Well, I mean, listening to a fascinating podcast the other day, and the gentlemen were busy speaking about one of my heroes is a guy by the name of Jordan B. Peterson. Okay,
Awesome.
right. So Jordan B. Peterson lived 55 years of his life. He's a psychologist. He's probably one of the most intellectual luminaries of today's day and age, right? At the age of 55, he becomes famous. And I say 55, it may be 53 or whatever the case may be. But in his 50s, he becomes famous, right? Dude, nothing can prepare you for that. And we were talking about it earlier. Your goal was, before the podcast, I want to be a fighter. Not at one point did you turn around and say, I want to be in the limelight. I want to be a role model. Everything that I do is going to be scrutinized. Everything that I say is going to be scrutinized. The way I fight's going to be scrutinized. The way I train is going to be scrutinized.
Yeah.
Yo, welcome to the fucking big leagues.
No, that's it. That's true. I mean, you don't prepare for that. You
didn't even want it.
Yeah, that was never the goal going into it. I mean, I think you've realized once you've done a full training sessions of full contact training, if you can call it that, where there's punches and kicks, you immediately know where you at in the sport. Do I like this or or I don't like this?
Yeah, anything that's alive, right?
That's it. And there's going to be two options. I like it. I just like to do jits. Some people just like to do the jits part.
A lot of my students,
Other people are like, I hate jits. I just want to do stand up. And then you get the guys that are like, yes, whatever. Let's do everything.
Yes.
It's cool. And I think that's where the love for anybody starts. And there's never ever a moment where people say, I'm going to be a pro fighter because I want to be famous.
Yeah.
I think if that's your approach, it's not going to work.
Listen,
It'll
there's
be
a
very
lot.
short.
There's
It's going to be a very short
Not only
career.
that, but there's a lot of other things you can do far easier to become famous, right?
100%.
Jesus, because be a fighter, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
100%. It's but I mean, and that's the thing. That's how I know I made the right choice in my life to become a professional fighter. Yes. I love every single day of it. It's the best.
And Brew, I know 45-year-olds who are still turning around going, I wish I knew what I was going to do with my life.
Yeah.
You know, you actually don't understand. And one day you will. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you actually don't even understand the gift you've been given.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
You know, and the gift you found. And
what's great for me is, like you say, there's so many people that listen, it's not like they don't have ambition or like they don't have drive.
No.
Like,
There's a difference between ambition and passion.
Want to
exactly.
do. I don't have anything.
I don't have
I do my job and I do it. I do my job 100%. But I don't love my job. I do my job because I have to do my job. I love my family, so I have to provide for them. Yeah. And I can only think that should be the worst thing in the world. I will. That's one thing I realized with people my age, my friends. A lot of my friends, some do what they love as well, but there's so many people around me, so many people I know.
Some.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the statistic, right? 75% of, and I know the American stat, not the South African stat, right? But 75% of Americans hate what they do. But think of that number, 75%. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so many people will go like, and tomorrow, like, oh, I have to go to work tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I have work tomorrow. And they're like, oh, well, you're lucky you don't work. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't work.
So that's what. So why don't you tell us like a day in the life of Dricus? You know?
Yeah, a typical day.
Okay, cool. So my day consists. All my plans that I make is, and my life is completely different in training camp than out of training camp.
Okay.
I won't lie. In training camp, this basically. It's training to recovery to training to recovery and doing some media stuff if I have to. That's my whole. It's Monday morning. I'll wake up. A lot of times I'll do my long run for the week. The hour run I'll do on a Monday morning. Then I have my wrestling and grappling training from 9:30 to around 12. Then we'll be at the gym around 4. Start doing warm up, pad work, just to get warm. 5 o'clock the training starts. Training 5 to 7. 7, just past 7 in camp. Get back home and immediately start making plans to recover for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Start getting whatever needs to be done to recover, eat.
Yeah.
With the diet, it's very important that we're going down to welterweight. Yes, it's a mission. So
because you're not the smallest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's great for me is my girlfriend Jessica. She's been with me. We've been together before I was a professional fighter.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, how,
That's great.
So
how
that's great.
fantastic is that, dude?
So
she knows the bullshit that comes with it.
My last fight, my brother was there with me in Poland, and she was the one I knew. He partied the night before, so he was sleeping. He was sleeping. He couldn't get up. He was out and out. She helped me cut weight. I mean, this is like the second. She's there, always there, helped me cut weight.
Wow.
She
dude.
got the blankets ready. She got everything ready. She made my mixes for me. Everything
Yeah.
afterwards. She knows the whole game. She's been a part of it.
Dude, that's incredible.
And obviously, that's something else you have to make time for as well. Because remember, we live together, and it's a lot of pressure on the relationship.
Of course it is.
Family relationship as well, because we're a very close family, and my brother and his kids and my dad and my mom they live in Huntley, so I'm always there on weekends. But they can tell when I'm in fight camp like that, because my dad's always like, I can see the fights on his way, because obviously they're eating like proper Afrikaners all the time.
Of course.
I'm like, there, I'm like,
So we need
I
sugar
can't
with our
eat.
vegetables.
Yeah, that's it. My mom was like, but that's sweet potato, but there's like a ton of sugar in the sweet potato.
Exactly.
So it doesn't count. Well, I'm sorry, I can't eat it.
Yeah.
But and then it's on Tuesdays it's my fitness and conditioning days at the yard, and if I have chance I'll do a extra session with Attila on a Tuesday, and then we have training at night again. Wednesday is the same as a Monday. That's my same day, and then on Thursdays that's my off day, if you can call it that, at the week, since Friday is our hardest sparring day.
Okay.
So on Thursday, our night training at CIT would consist of just rolling, grappling, just chill rolling, no punches at it, just everybody just rolls, and it's much more relaxed. Just jits, but relaxed rolling, not intense trying to kill everybody. Just playing with new techniques, just because the next day he's sparring. So, but on Thursdays it's I'm at the yard again, doing strength and conditioning, and then I have a session with Attila directly after that. So that's around, I have an hour and a half to 2 hour session at the yard, fitness and conditioning, a half hour break, and then Attila gets there, and then we train an hour with him. Then at night it's the chill.
And what is it? What are you doing with Attila?
He's my wrestling and grappling coach.
So wrestling.
So Monet is my he puts everything together, and he's our striking coach.
Sure.
With the freestyle wrestling, and then Attila is the Greco coach, and the grappling coach. It's funny you should say that your coach is a white belt. My coach is also a white belt.
Wow.
That's the other thing.
Exactly.
That Hungarian is crazy. Yes,
He's crazy. Dude,
it's crazy. He's 48 years old. I mean, he submits the shit out of me, to be honest.
He's a strong belly.
It's crazy. I mean, if you wrestle with that guy, the way I try to catch him is I'm just pushing the pace, because he's 48, so I can make him tired.
Yeah.
But if you go into the clinch with that guy, you can go for an hour. He won't even breathe, and he will throw you like you've never been thrown before.
Yeah.
That guy throws me like a ragdoll. When you do Greco, yes, he throws me. He's
and let me ask you a question. Do you train in the gi?
Not at all.
Not at all, eh?
Not at all.
Do you have any desire to?
I don't think I have time to be honest.
Yeah.
Focused.
Fair enough.
It's I'm not against the gi at all. I've fought quite a few competitions in gi. Like, my brother he loves it because he was a 4-time judo SA champion.
Yeah.
So he loves the gi. But I'm just telling you, like, I can't spend time on that, because where am I going to get time to do that?
Your focus, your primary focus is mixed martial arts.
It's MMA, exactly. So, I mean, I have no problem to train gi. Yeah, even in Thailand, I've done a few. When I go there, I'll do a few gi classes to check it out. And when I was in Cape Town, I'll do a few gi classes to check it out. But it's not something I can do in my everyday.
Let me tell you what you are, right? You're a club who doesn't know you, right? If there is such a club out there, okay, but a club who doesn't know you, if you walk in and you put on a gi, you will put on a white belt, because it's essentially what you
100%.
are, and you will be every student in that club's fucking worst nightmare. Because where the fuck did this white belt come from? Right?
What is it? No, that's it.
Because you got jits. Make no mistake.
No,
mate.
that's the thing. It's and I do believe, especially now. I mean, if you look at grappling as a sport. No, it's
also another level
it's-
with mixed martial arts.
it's a whole nother level. It's a
Another
whole
level.
nother level.
Well,
And
there's two there's two, I would say, frames of mind or two different camps, and that is the guys who do train in gi for MMA,
Yeah.
and I mean there's many out there, and the guys who don't, right? And I mean it's fairly relevant to me because either way, at the end of the day, you're getting the jiu-jitsu you need for MMA.
100%.
So it's just two different ways
I
to
mean,
skin a
I've fought
cat.
guys in the gi that I'm like, yes, I don't even know. This guy's around me and he's choking me and I don't even know where he is.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know what's happening.
yeah,
But as soon as the gi comes off, I'm beating this out. Like, I
Absolutely.
go against him again, I'm like, oh, yes,
Yeah.
this guy's incredible.
Look, I'll be very
Then
honest
I
with
go
you.
with him and it's a completely different sport.
Yeah.
It's like, it's two different sports. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I
but
would never roll you without a gi.
I see guys with the gear on, and I'm like, yes, you look at what these guys are doing. Yes, firstly, I almost die of the heat when I put that thing
Yeah.
on. I'm not used to it, and
But do you know the one argument I will make for, and not to try and convince you, it's just my
Yeah, yeah.
argument for, is I roll gi, and it's my love and it's my passion and it's what I want to do, and I have my day once a week that I do no gi. But when I take that gi off, dude, I feel fucking invincible.
that's it, dude. Because
I feel
it's,
like you can't hold me down, you can't keep me. A little hole I can.
you can get in there. No, that's
It's
one thing that I've
ridiculous,
realized. Like
man.
with the gi, I'm like, I'm passing, but this guy's just holding on to me. And I'm like, that's not fair. You can't just hold on to me.
Let go.
Let go. That's not how it works. Like, yes, and with no gi, and it's just the no gi. That's why it's. I would say if you start with jiu-jitsu at any stage, the gi is the way to
Yeah.
go, because you can slow the whole thing down. With the no gi, a guy with power with a gi is not going to have such a big effect
Yes.
like the guy would have without a gi. That's how I see it. Because
100%,
yeah.
with the gi, if you lift me up, I'll just hold on to you and go with you. With the no gi, I'll just rip out of anything, and it's
Absolutely.
slippery and it's
friction plays
Absolutely.
a lot
What it allows is, so for argument's sake, let's take me now, right? I'm a little bit older in years, right? I'm physically inferior to you, so the gi would allow me to wrap you.
100%.
We take away the gi, how am I going to stop you from passing guard through?
That's exactly.
How am I
and,
going to stop
it's,
you?
Then it becomes much more physical
Yeah.
and faster.
I'm
it's a
70.
whole faster.
I'm 73 kgs.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been submitted with a gi by I think 60 kg guys. Yes,
Yeah.
I went with Dino Bertolas once. That guy destroyed me.
Man,
I think-
Dino's-
yes, we had a gi on. That guy was absolutely just destroyed me. I didn't have a clue. Yes, he was
Dino's
choking
incredible,
me. I don't
eh?
even know what.
But
he
he's
was
a,
there.
but
then he was
in
here.
your defense, he's a black belt.
That's it. Yeah, and when we put on the no, like we took off the gi, then he just couldn't.
Yeah.
The
Different
size.
grips,
I was-
grips, yeah, size, grips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
friction.
so no, I mean, if you see those guys rolling in gis and the guys that do it international and do it professionally, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And now Saturdays and Sundays are these
Yep.
So
recovery days?
Saturdays I do 3 sessions mostly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Saturdays are my hardest days, and Sundays I don't train at all because religion-wise, like that's because fighting is my job.
Yeah.
I said that's my Saturday. I don't train, like I've never done it on a Sunday. I take off completely. Like I don't even do an active rest. I do nothing that involves fighting on a Sunday.
You watch series.
Maybe. I mean, I'm always at. I try to get to my family as
Nice.
often as I can with my brother and his kids. Yes, he has the cutest kids, so we're very close with them and my mom and dad. So I'll usually go home or we'll go to my.
Has he got boys?
Parents. 1 boy and 2 girls.
Okay.
Girls, yeah.
So we're always at home. I'm trying to get to family as often as I can because in the weekdays it's actually my mom's birthday today,
Ah.
and it's. I'm going to Hardship.
Happy birthday, Mommy
tonight.
Dricus.
Happy birthday, Mom. So I'm going to Hardship tonight, but I mean, it's not a far drive from my house. It's a 40-minute drive, but I mean, you get so caught up in the work, like it's just it's so hard. So on weekends, I like to do that to go there and relax. But yeah, that's it. Saturdays I do also at the yard doing strength and conditioning. Then there's an open mat at the Tella. Then me and Michiel do some sparring. Just some light boxing sparring. We'll go through the techniques and we do a much more technical sparring than some of the guys to join. Then it's a more open mat, so all the amateurs are there.
Nice.
Anybody that wants to join in can come in and join in from the outside.
And that's on a Saturday, hey?
That's on Saturdays, yeah. So I mean, then we're just chilling. So some guys rolling on the mat, other guys training.
When
some
are you
wrestling
guys
stuff.
sending some of your boys to SABGF?
Ah, man.
Hey, we've got Nogi comps, dude. We've put 3 Nogi comps
Yeah,
together
I mean,
for
with
you.
Attila is sending quite a few guys there, as far as I know now, and with our guys, like I say, on the level that as soon as the guys are ready, we try to bring them over to the pro side to get used to it as quick as possible. And Attila, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had quite a few guys then.
He did.
Yeah.
He had a few
He
guys.
had about
I didn't make the connection with Attila and
So he's in control of that completely. But now we are actually opening a new facility that's going to be awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
CIT Performance Institute. So it's a merger basically of CIT MMA and the Yard.
When will that be open? No.
Within the next month.
That's
nice.
great.
Where in Pretoria?
In Pretoria, yeah.
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we're busy setting up. It's been quite a ride. Yes, it's not an easy job setting up a gym, but it's a lot bigger than our gym that we have, and it's a lot more commercial.
And is everybody moving in?
Yes. So
Okay.
there's going to be the Yard section and the MMA section, and then we're going full commercial because CIT has never been commercial.
Well, if you guys are going commercial, I mean, are you bringing in a jiu-jitsu coach?
Yeah.
With a gi?
Well, I mean, we're busy with that. We're busy talking about what we're doing with that because there's quite a few options that you have to make there. I mean, we've had a few
the best
guys.
business.
That's it. No, 100%, and that's what. So we know we're doing it 100%. We're just in a kind of a in between. What are we going to do? Which route are we going? Are you going with the Grace University? Or are you going with?
Oh, I've got you.
Exactly.
I've got you.
It's quite hard because this is completely new for us doing commercial, going commercial with the gym. It's CIT. We've never had. We've basically had a pro side. That's it. And then I told them, listen, I want to do amateurs because that's how we're going to keep the team alive. I mean, we need an amateur side. So I coach amateurs and 20 students. I said, no, listen. Wow. So as soon as the amateur side had 20 students, somebody would get there and I'll be like, sorry, you can't train. We're full. And he's like, what do you mean we're full? And I'm like, the class is full. Sorry, man. That's the space we had. I said, there was enough space for more people, but I was as a coach. Because, and I mean, that's probably the dumbest way, business-wise, of looking at it. I mean, guys didn't even pay, like so many guys, I didn't even have a proper system of knowing how guys paid. I just loved it. I wanted to get guys into the sport and build guys to become pros. And now, I mean, look at Chad Henning came through that ranks. We have Nerik Simos. I coached him from his first fight. He came through those ranks.
Who's the young guy you've got who wears the pink shorts? Pink Panther.
Pink shorts.
No, that's the Fight Stars.
Your Fight Star guy.
Oh, Cameron Simon. Yeah, he actually, that guy's going to be in Mars. I think he's going to be the next youngest UFC champion.
I mean, let me
he's
tell
17
you,
years old.
I've watched him fight at Fight Stars, right? And
he's brilliant.
No, I've heard a lot about
him. And let me tell you what he can do, my buddy. Yes, he can push the tempo.
Yeah, no, he's
Fuck me, 3 rounds of just 17-year-old.
And you won't believe it. That guy, I mean, I've trained him for 2 years. First year I started training him, he came second at K1 SA Championships. Second year he won SA Championships in K1, and I mean he's won his last fights. I mean he fought Mornay Swanepoel's son, who beat him quite a while back in a grappling comp, and he beat him with a choke.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I mean he's
coming up the ranks.
So now he's 5-0 now as an amateur.
Wow.
And he's most of all of his fights won on the ground, so that's awesome.
How brilliant, but
he's
but
great.
if you look at the levels, sort of Richie and I are from a little bit of an older school, first gen level, you second gen level, whereas Cameron now,
third.
That's it. He would be the third gen. I mean, how incredible! And at the end of the day, look, you're still very young, Dricus, and you're very, very fortunate. But for us, all we've really got left, and I'm not saying that we can't go and compete in jiu-jitsu in seniors and whatever the case may be. Of course we can do that. But for us, it's the new guys.
100%.
Right? It's the 18s, the 16s, the 17-year-olds. That's where we put our focus now,
100%.
man.
Yeah, and I mean now with the new gym, that's a very exciting for me. I'm super
man.
excited
Amazing,
that
That's amazing.
Nice, dude.
Getting
Please do me a favor, man. When that happens, 2 things. Number 1, I'll post it on the Thought Labs post. But SABJJF, we will do a big announcement for you.
Great, that will be
at the end
amazing.
of the day. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, that's jiu-jitsu. We want to do it.
That's like you said, that's the biggest business. That's where your MMA doesn't make money.
No.
People don't like to get hit in the face.
Yes.
Then put their suit on and go
and go to work.
100%.
People love to get on the mat, get physical, maybe dominate someone.
Yeah.
Then they can put their suit on and
and go back.
to
No,
work.
that's it. I mean, it's not for, like we said earlier, like MMA is not for everyone.
No,
Everybody
it's
doesn't.
not.
I mean, I get punched in the face. I'm like, it's like,
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Most people get punched in the
But
face and like,
they're
I don't
like,
want
no.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, what are you doing?
If I take probably 80% of my jiu-jitsu classes are all professionals.
Yeah.
All of them have got day jobs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and even breaking that apart,
that's it.
with the other 20% or other 15% would be amateurs and pros, right? But amateurs, right? And guys who, but even them, they're professionals. And then you break that apart, and then you've only got 50% who compete, right? And the other guys
They
don't
don't
want to
want-
compete. I don't want to, even
They're
in
not
jiu-jitsu, I don't
into-
want to
into
compete.
it for that.
I'm doing it because I love it.
I like the sport, and
And you know what? If
it's something
somebody,
it sets for my job, and
there we
that's
go.
it. That's,
Somebody
it's a
attacks
hobby.
me in the street, I've got the ability to defend myself.
It's a
That's it, really.
no, it's a brilliant sport, and it's so cool to see how it's grown. I mean, it's
I
just
know, man. It's just so grown,
awesome
eh?
to see. It's awesome to see worldwide. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everywhere you go, and with everybody you're speaking. I mean, if you take 3 years ago and you said somebody jits, they'll be like, "What are you
talking about?"
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Oh, like. And I'm like, no, not like.
Yeah.
Now, if you say jiu-jitsu, people know.
Yeah.
Most people now they
Big
know
time.
what you're talking about.
Well, but I mean, back in the day, we had one black belt, and that was Rodney King. Was there another black belt, Rich?
That was
It was literally just Rodney King. When I started, one black belt.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And at least now we've got, I don't know,
Handful. I don't know.
I'd say
but
between
we've got-
20 and 30.
I would say 10 and 20.
You think so?
Yeah.
Call it the 20 mark.
Yeah.
But still,
That's
you know, but what we've got is we've got a massive wave of blues, purples, and browns.
Yeah,
I mean, we
coming
just
through.
recently had Gracie Bahailovo,
Yeah.
had a whole bunch of browns made. So congrats to all those guys. Lance was made a brown. Michael Rambach was made a brown. So we've got, now it's starting to happen.
No, it's starting to happen. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and yeah, yes, if you see the guys competing, just the guys that do mostly jiu-jitsu, the way they compete, I'm like, woo,
Yeah.
that's scary stuff. If I go there, like without punches, I can't do that.
Dude, I'm a brown belt. I look at the blue belt division. I'm like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, no, you can see those guys. It's crazy. It's but I mean, with Attila now, he's he's never done a gi.
Yeah.
He doesn't do gi, but he has a guy Michael training gi, and he just went to university, Grace University. He went to California now, I think.
Got
trained
his
there.
blue belt.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's you know, over there, he came back and he showed us videos. Like, you can't believe it. There's 300 guys on this
Oh, yeah.
at a time. Like, it's like,
Oh yeah, dude, it's insane.
you can't
eh?
believe it. It's it's almost like a cult.
My
It's
dream,
really, it's literally,
yeah.
it's a culty vibe. Like,
yeah.
yes, I can't
My
believe it.
dream
And
was always to go to Brazil, and it's not anymore. Now my dream is to go to Southern California.
yeah, yes, you
Because in
you're
SoCal,
going to,
you've got-
yes, it's crazy.
I've been through all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've
yes.
been through all of them,
I've
but I mean,
heard
SoCal,
about-
we've got
Yeah, it's California.
California, Southern California.
But
That's
for
Oh, is it? That's the
BJJ,
place.
for
Yeah, that's the
wrestling,
place to
for
go.
MMA.
Because if I look at a guy like Brian Ortega now, that guy's. If
Yeah.
you see that guy,
T-City, man.
I mean, his first fight I saw. That's the first time I saw him. And he was still very young. It was
yeah,
he fought a Tavares. He fought somebody named Tavares, and he was so. He had his long hair, and he was just going. And his striking was good. When his grappling was insane. I said, I think this guy's going to be a champion because he's so young
Yeah.
and he's still going. Now with Max Holloway, I love Max Holloway, but yes,
I think T-City will beat him.
I was like,
Definitely.
I backed this out from the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be. I mean, if you look at his grappling, it's almost like I've
Dude,
never
it's
seen
insane.
anything
Yeah.
like it. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
yeah, it really is.
So what does Dricus do for fun now these days?
You know, it's so hard actually to
You
go
punch
that
people in
way.
the face
You
for
punch-
fun.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we do for fun. I'm a big adrenaline junkie. I mean,
Okay.
we grew up riding bikes, mountain biking, wakeboarding, all that stuff. I mean, that's
Nice.
the stuff that we always done for fun because we live close by the dam. So we've always been wakeboarding, kneeboarding, skiing, motorcycles. I mean, we used to ride enduro, mountain biking. That's what, anything that gets the blood flowing. Nowadays, I'm doing that. I'm never lose the love for that. When I'm on the farm, I'll just on the bikes. It's awesome. It's always great, but I have to take in consideration my career.
You have to
always.
be. And
It's-
if I was
so
you,
it's-
and if I was your mental coach, and you got on a bike, bro, I go springs on you, which means I bring out tire irons.
no,
because-
it's-
no, bro, bikes are
it's
too
the-
dangerous, dude.
It's the thing. It's you
can't do that.
You can't.
No.
That's
Ask,
kind of, you
ask
have
my
to-
shattered shoulder.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's I had to sell my bike. Literally, I was like, cool. I'm fighting world champion. I was matric, so and then we're riding bike for at least 6 months leading up to the World Champs.
Yeah.
Every day after school, I'd get on a bike and go, and I'm like, oh no, just chill. No, you can't go chill. Like
You can't
know.
be.
And then I sold it. I was like,
Yeah,
I know
good-
to sell
good
this
choice,
thing.
man.
But it's there's still bikes on the farm, so I mean we do that off-roading, like doing 4x4 stuff like that. It's you just don't get enough time to do it, but that's the kind of things that I love to do. That's
Nice.
the things. No, I like PlayStation, not too much, because everybody lives with me in my house. My brother lives with me as well, and a few friends, and Henny's there as well. They love FIFA on the PlayStation. I was like, oh, whatever, I can't play it. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to play that.
Dude,
game, I guess.
my brother's an avid gamer, right?
Yes.
And I just don't have. I'm very, very busy, boo, and I don't have the time. And we got 2 PlayStations set up next to one another, right? So we could literally. So when we were playing the Division for a long time, right? But my time just won't allow for it, boo. So I've got this white elephant sitting there, and my PlayStation, my brother plays, and it just fucking irritates me. I've wanted to play with Richie for so long. Do you know Richie was you know Richie's basically the poster child for Nerd Assassin. So
I played games professionally when I was a
What
kid.
really?
Dude,
Yes, well, I mean,
Richie's a Nerd
what are the
Assassin.
odds? Good, I guess. Exactly.
When I was considering Rich to be my coach, right, I found out he played games. I basically made the connection between Nerd Assassin, and I was like, okay, you can be my coach now. You're cool enough.
No, I have to say, I love playing PlayStation. It's something that it's a pastime. I like the but like you say, you don't get enough time
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
And now
But
I suck
that's
too
a cool
bad.
thing, closer to a fight. Yes,
Yeah.
because that's I'm like the time flies when you're playing PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not thinking of food, you're just like
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
And then with obviously now you the actually only South African and youngest South African to have an international title, obviously
Yeah.
with one of the biggest organizations in the world, KSW.
KSW.
Now you just won it. How was the build up? How was that day like when you woke up? How was that whole process?
going to KSW. You know, the first thing, my biggest concern leading up to the fight in my mind, it was like it's another fight. I mean, I'm fighting this oak. It's another fight. I'll only fight the fight when I get there. My biggest concern was the weight. Obviously, it always is.
Yeah, because you fought in the welterweight, eh?
Yeah, I've never ever traveled and make weight before. I've never had to go overseas and make weight. And you know, from what I've heard, that's a challenge on its own. Going overseas, being out of your comfort zone. It's obviously my first fight out of South Africa as well as a professional. So
first fight, you
First
fought in
fight.
Moscow,
no, in Poland.
In Poland? and you're fighting at welterweight, and you're fighting for a championship.
Yeah, so that was the
Welcome to
biggest,
the party,
that was
dude.
the biggest, and obviously the crowd there, 20,000 people.
Crazy.
It's crazy, and those people go mad. So
Yeah.
but that's a fun part for me. Like, you know, the bigger the crowd, the bigger the as when the show goes bigger for me, that's puts me at ease more. You know, it's I like that part of the. You know, a lot of people don't like the lights.
You feed off.
Listen,
Yeah, I feed off the energy of the crowd. And that crowd,
BMT, bro, big match temperament.
they were actually they weren't really for me. No, they were 100% against me.
Yes,
the
they
crowd,
were.
but it was like they were making a lot of noise, so I was loving that. And leading up to that, when I saw my opponent, and when I got there, the way they do things, I was basically admiring what's happening.
Really, professional,
how professional it is, and how they're treating the athletes. It was really crazy. Obviously, they have a lot of money to do these things, and KSW is really one of the organizations that I feel look after the fighters the best in
Really,
the
eh?
whole world.
Where are they? If I'm going to quickly.
Only
Sorry,
Poland.
I want you to continue your story. But where are they? Would you match them with Bellator?
Number 3.
Oh, they're number 3. Eh? That was my question.
Well, listen, like I've been to nearly all the events except for KSW and Bellator, but I would put them probably on what I've heard from Dricus and people and watching it on the same level as UFC. In terms of
The show is.
yeah.
I've
Really,
never
eh?
seen anything like that in my whole life.
Wow.
Like, they don't do so many shows. I think they do 4 or 5 shows a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but the shows are sold out. I mean, they had a show. They have one record, just under prize record is like 70,000, 63,000 people live.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell Huntley about like the Polish people watch KSW more than they watch soccer.
You
Like,
can't
it's-
believe it. It's
Really?
Yeah.
So
I was
true
there,
MMA fans.
You won't
No.
believe it. When I got there for the first time, I wasn't fighting when I got injured. I was set to fight, so they said, no, we'll pay your flight ticket, still everything to come and watch. So they didn't cancel it. I still went to watch. They even for my
Wow.
tournament. They were like, cool, no, we already booked it, so come watch the fight, see how it is. When I got off the airplane at the airport, I've never fought there before in my life. I mean, they only announced the fight with me and Boris, and then I got injured. When I got there were fans on the airport waiting for signatures, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what do you mean you wanted my autograph? You don't know me at all. Like, I haven't even fought before them.
Holy shit.
They don't know me until they announce the fight. They love it. They live for the sport. It's crazy. Like, in Poland, after I won the belt, it was really so cool. Like, every restaurant you go to, everybody, all the kitchen staff, everybody wants to take a photo.
Wow.
Free meals.
I mean, you're the South African guy,
it's
right?
crazy. It's awesome to see how big a sport can be, and it's something that you love doing. And but yeah, getting back to the fight, when I got there, it was almost, you could feel like everybody was like, this guy looks the part, but we don't know if he's really going to be able to. You know, Boris was their champion for 5 years, and Roberto absolutely obliterated him. I haven't seen a beating like that in a long time. So people were like, no, this Roberto guy he got fighter of the year last year in Europe, welterweight. Yeah, he got the best welterweight fighter of the year. And
tall order.
He's on a 8-fight win streak, 8 knockouts.
But you could see why.
Yeah, I mean, he has a punch, that guy, and going up, and I was like, you can see everybody is like looking at me, you know, like, is he really going to match up? Because they automatically said, yes, he is a double division champion, that's cool, but it's an African organization, so what does that really mean?
Yes.
So I think they didn't think, you know, EFC's the quality of fights just went up and up and up. It's there's international guys. I mean, there's guys that fight there that are really good, especially in the internationals that coming through. That
absolutely.
I mean, if you look at a guy like the Rocha, Rafael Hardship, those guys are they're a beast, man. They're brilliant fighters.
Absolutely.
And Carl Eleanor, for example, he's a brilliant fighter.
I mean, you got guys going from EFC
straight
to UFC.
Yeah, I mean,
Danny Henry.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like Danny Henry came in and just destroyed everybody.
No,
he lost. He had to fight for his position here. So I could see that was the attitude. But as far as the owners and the matchmaker and the admin of the show, when they looked after me so well, I mean, I got there after the weigh-ins and they told me, listen, do you want somebody to do you want a physio in your room after weigh-ins? I'm like, a physio for what?
Wow.
And they're like, because, you know, when you cut weight, your muscles go tense. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no. Yeah, sure. And the guy comes to your room in the night and he puts his little bed there and it's so professional. I was like, yes, this is
Holy
awesome.
shit.
The day before the fight, my dressing room was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It was like, I was taking photos, like, how cool is this? You know, the lights and stuff, they put up a proper show.
That's why I say I would personally put KSW right next to UFC, because I've seen what UFC is doing and has done, and I kind of have spoken to some of the matchmakers and announcers from KSW and heard the stories, and that's why I'm like, well,
wow.
And you never see a KSW guy ever transfer to the UFC.
I mean,
because
they have champions there at KSW. Mohamed Khalidov, their middleweight champion, he hasn't lost for 7 years. Middleweight, he's 7 years.
He's been offered and he won't.
He's been offered.
He won't go to UFC.
$100,000. They said no, thank you. I mean,
what? That's loyalty, and I'll tell you why.
Loyalty.
Because they're getting looked after.
They're getting looked after. Yeah. That's one thing I say. Like, no, me fighting at KSW, saying, listen, the way they look after you, it's not like you're feeling like, oh, they're paying me well, great, I'll stay here. It's more. It's more. It's something. It's not the big things. It's the small things that make the biggest difference. You know. I have to say, it was an experience of a lifetime to go in there and fight. The end of the day, getting there and the way everything built up to the fight. You know, my parents were there as well. They flew in to check the fight. My brother was there with me, and everything was just so. It was like almost like it was in a movie. I was just like, stop thinking about how cool all of this is.
Yeah, and focus on my
the
fight.
And I'm just like seeing how cool it is, and then that's when you realize that that's actually what it's about. Not trying to go to the future, just enjoying the moment, being present, and that's how you get your body to perform at its maximum. That's how you get into flow when you fight, is to make sure you focus on the present and you don't try and overshoot and think, after this, or last time I did this happened.
Yeah.
Forget that. The here now.
Yeah,
That's,
training's
that's how
done, bro. You know, like in the famous words of BJ Penn, bro, let's scrap.
That's that exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, when I go in there, don't overthink. Try and overthink it. I mean, that's what's happening a lot with guys. They go into a fight and they're like, okay, if he does this and this, and I'm like, before a fight, a lot of times I'm like, okay, if he does this, and I'm like, no.
Stop it.
That's not going to help
You've
me
been
now.
preparing.
You know, as I walk out, I'm like,
So, if I may ask, right, because first of all, he's a serious competitor, right? We saw what happened in the fight, which I'd like to discuss. But what was your game plan for him?
game plan going in for Soldic was we spoke about me and Monet, and Monet was like, no. He's a striker, obviously. He has he's 5-0 as a professional boxer.
KOs.
And all of his fights finished KO and TKOs. He also has pro kickboxing fights. So he's a striker. And when I said, well, listen, we believe 100% we're at the level now where we can strike with this guy. We don't care if he's the best striker. He can be the best boxer in the world. This is not boxing. This is MMA.
Yeah.
It's the combos were completely different. You can't land 10 punch combos. You can only land.
Of course.
Need one shot. And we literally went in and we said, okay, cool, he's a southpaw, so that's where our first approach changed. Haven't fought a lot of southpaws, so that's where we had to make our biggest change in training. Other than that, we just kept on doing what we did, and we said, this is what got us here. There's no need to change it now.
Perfect.
There's no need to change the way we fight.
But
now.
you said to me before the podcast that you were expecting that rush.
Yeah, 100%.
We were expecting the big bangs, the hits, the coming hard.
Watching all of it, because obviously I watched all of his fights, made notes on all his fights, and what's cool is I was live there when he fought Boris. So watching that fight, you could see this guy has a punch. You can see it from a mile away. He has a left kick and he has a left punch. And all the guys he's faced, he's a bit smaller than him, and
he overwhelms
once
them.
he catches them with that shot, immediately he's in control of the fight, because they're like, I don't want to get that shot again, and they just start running. And you can see that's the way he fought, and that's, I knew going into the fight that's what's going to happen. Originally I thought his fitness would be better, because when he fought Boris, he went hard, and he had a short notice, 2 weeks notice, and he was fine. But then you have to ask yourself the question, it's easy to look fit when somebody's just going backwards and you're just pounding on
when
them.
you're on top of it,
When
you're
you're
on
on
ground
top,
and pound,
it's
like what
easy.
he's
Then
doing.
you're resting lacquer.
Well,
But if you're on a guy fighting you like this,
absolutely. And let me tell you what I think was look, whether it was intended or not intended, you know, he did come at you and you went down, right? The second time, like we were saying, you didn't actually go down, you actually fell.
yeah, no.
Right.
So he caught me with a punch. The punch was on the hand. It was a very hard punch. He never caught me flush.
Yes.
Yes, luckily.
Yeah.
You know, he never caught me flush, and he was rushing, and I was against the fence, and I was just trying to get out of this, because yes, he hit me in the body once, and I was like, yes, that's how it gets hard.
Yeah.
And as he hit me on the hands, he had a punch,
Yeah.
but it was left after left after left after left, and I just, as he hit me up, he came towards and I just grabbed him because he was on me, and I could see I'm losing my footing. So this is going to look bad if I'm going down. This is staying standing. So as I grabbed him, we went down, and that was the only shot he actually landed proper. He threw an elbow and he caught me on the eye. And once we were on the ground, I could feel he was so tense. You could see this guy is used to being on top.
Yeah.
And there he's going to stay.
And
once
when
I started moving,
there we
he was
go.
like, no.
And then
He
you
didn't
got
want a
double
part of
unders,
it.
jumped on his back. And what was so interesting is, because I saw you had your right leg across his head,
Yeah.
Triangle,
and and you were waiting to try and get the body triangle. So what you did is you angled your right foot down to hook his hip, because you were right on the fence.
And it was so hard because he was pushing
exactly, he was
against the
pushing
fence.
against the fence, and then as he moved, the body triangle
and
came
I was
on.
like, Yessie,
if
this guy is going to fight my foot, I'm going to have to go for the neck. If he's going to fight the neck, I'm
gonna go for
And as he went for his neck, I was like, aren't you going to stop this foot, man?
And
Yessie,
then,
you're in bigger shit here.
Yeah.
when you
And
put the body
it was
triangle
so hard
on,
because he was against the fence pushing.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get this foot around, but the fence was in the way.
Yeah.
And as I got it, he would still keep pushing against the fence. So my toes is going to the fence. I'm like, Yessie, if he goes down now, it's going to be sore. And the ref would get there and he's like, no toes in the fence. And I'm like, I'm not putting my toes in the fence. He's putting my toes. And I'm like, and if it slaps my foot, I'm like, hey, you're going to make me lose the body triangle, ref. What the fuck? Are you crazy? I see it.
So at the end of that round,
Well,
that choke was in.
That
right?
choke was
Yes.
in.
That was in.
There was 3 minutes,
That
3
was in.
seconds left, and it was
and it was
done.
I saw it.
It was definitely
because interestingly, for anybody listening to you got the body triangle on, and then you actually arched yourself all the way back so he would go down.
Yeah.
And as he fell, you sank that in.
And what's cool with the body triangle is it restricts the breathing completely.
Exactly.
Locks his
Exactly.
hips, so there's no escape.
Yeah.
You can't turn
Gas him
into you.
out.
You can't escape
So
the back.
originally when he was standing up, I was like, cool, let's stay here because I'm not using any energy. This guy can't breathe. I know the body triangle is tough. I know he can't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
And as you went down, Monet said, listen, there's 30 seconds left. Call out. And I was like, no, I've choked guys before in 10 seconds before the fight. I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And as I got it, when I got it in, there was literally like 8 seconds left.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was his final move was jumping in. I actually fell on my head quite hard.
Yeah, he dived in.
Yeah, he dived
Yeah,
in.
he
And
dived
the
in.
choke was 100% in, and the bell went.
Yeah, because he went down to try and
Yeah.
shrug you off, and you hit your head. So what's interesting is I knew you had won the fight. Okay, which is a terrible way to watch a fight,
Yeah,
but I knew you had
it's
won
never
it.
lacquer.
So I watched the fight afterwards, and I'm like, you go down the first time. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to win, and the second time you guys fell. Then I thought you would have finished it in the first round because I didn't know when you had finished it. So round goes, I'm like, okay, fuck, how do you win this fight?
What's going on?
And second round, you guys walk out. And Rich, I was speaking to Dricus before the podcast started. Dude, that left, I had to watch it 3 times to see what he hit him with. Because fuck, it was fast.
The left hook, yeah.
It was, I think, obviously, that first round, there was a long break between my warm-up and walking out. And I think that may have played a little bit of a part because, if you cool down,
Yeah.
getting
back up.
It can be probably why I started the first round a little bit slow. Obviously, also the first time fighting there, the first time being under that light.
Of course,
And
dude.
when I came out that second round, then you could see the punches landed flush, the kicks landed where I wanted them. Then I was comfortable. That second round, and it wasn't like you'll see in the fight as well. Like a lot of people would say, "Oh, now you have to get this fight to the ground." That was never the plan. It was like, well, that first round, yeah, he caught me a few times because that's the way he fought. But I could see how he's breathing, and I knew if I get this guy to the floor, I can beat him definitely. And I could see the holes in his game as far as wrestling goes.
And that was the game plan coming out
That was
round
the
2,
game.
eh?
Yeah, round 2, the game plan was, Monet just said, just stick on the game plan, stick on what we said, kick that leg, keep your punches simple, don't rush in. And that's exactly what I did because after a while, after those low kicks started landing, after the second round, his punches he started to telegraph his punches, he
slowed down
and
a lot.
that second round, he didn't even hit me once. He kicked.
Yeah.
I blocked everything. I could see it coming a mile away. And my eye was in for the way he fights.
Yes.
Because there's only one way, and that's the hardest punch he has. He throws it every time.
Correct.
And then I started landing lacquer punches. I landed kicks. And and then the momentum shifted completely from him moving forward to me moving forward. And then I could see that he couldn't handle that pace. And I was waiting for that left hand because every time when I step in, he does this. And as he throws the left hand, he drops his hand every time. And I was like, yes, you have to make sure this hand's up, and you just that thing.
Yeah.
And I
but I mean, like I was watching the fight and he was down. I was like, super, but Jesus, what happened there? I replayed it, had a look at it again. Okay, all right, the right hand's there, so it must be the left hand. And then he's done. And I was like, because of the camera angle, right, on YouTube. And then the third time I was like, no, it's definitely that left. I knew it was the left, but it was so fast.
It was, I guess
it was lightning.
and that's one thing about overthinking things in a fight. I mean, a lot of times when you fight, like, okay, he's going to do this now. That's a big change we've made, and that's what Henny's helped me so much with. To just let it, I've trained so hard for months for this fight. It doesn't help I'm trying to tell my body what to do. Now my body knows what to do.
Absolutely.
Like, just let it.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole
Absolutely.
point. It's,
all the
to
training
just
has
flow
been
when
done.
you get in
Now
there.
you must scrap.
When you flow in there, that's when you perform at your best.
Well,
100%.
Rich and I have discussed this over and over and over in podcasts. We go to these amateur events, or at least Richie doesn't anymore, but I do. Go to these amateur events, and you'll see coaches coaching these guys before they fight 5 minutes.
I haven't seen that. I've seen that so many times.
Dude,
It's
what are you doing?
Coaching a guy.
I had one of my coaches whose students are fighting amateur, and the guy started speaking. One of his students started speaking, and not respectfully, I grabbed him aside and I said to him, "We don't do that, bro." And he was like, "Okay." And I didn't want to speak to him about it there, but I said, "We don't do it." And I phoned him after, and I said, "My bro, we're professional. We don't coach 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. That guy is not listening to you."
Yeah, I mean,
He's
even
not
if he
listening
is
to you.
listening to you, I mean,
Goes in, goes out.
yes,
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not listening to you. He doesn't care. It's the 6 weeks before, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. 6 months,
what
a
your
year
body
before
remembers.
the fight that really
Yeah, I
matters.
mean, you're not gonna do something on the night that's gonna
Yeah,
help
your body
you,
doesn't learn under pressure.
No,
That's
That's
it.
the whole. It can't retain information.
Of
under
course not.
pressure.
Exactly, and you don't want your brain trying to do that.
Yeah.
Your brain should be trying to relax.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah,
Forget about the fight
we've actually put together a series of things that we do, which of course I'm not telling you because it's high IP, right? So we go through a flow roll, and then we go through a brain switch, and everything is to chill the guy down and to switch him on to muscle memory, but to chill him out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it. And you know, you can't be switched on 10 minutes before the fight. That doesn't help me. When I go in there, that's when I have to be switched on. You know, it's you know, at first I like to enjoy my workouts. I love it. It's awesome. I
Yeah.
love the workout. You know, just before the workout, I'm terrified. I'm like, yes,
yeah.
this is intense. But you know, just because of what's on the line, it's not
Sure.
the fight.
But
It's
you
never.
feed off.
It's you
off-
feel, and
off-
once
off
you
that
walk out, I'm
walkout.
like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's like
Yeah.
it's just, you get the energy from that.
Yeah,
And
So now, obviously, you know, you're KSW
yeah.
welterweight champ.
2-time EFC.
You know, 2-time EFC. So like a lot of people now want to know, like, what's the future?
So, my first
Drop it. Come
yeah,
on, still not.
I'm fighting KSW is my next fight.
Okay.
Definitely. The EFC we got a little bit of a stagnate with the negotiations
Okay.
because of you know it's career choices that I had to make to. That's the best of my career, and you know I understand a lot of people saying that they said I'm holding up divisions, and I said cool. As soon as there's somebody that's up for a title, I'll give my title. It's not I'm not holding on.
So
to
you'll
my
actually
thing.
relinquish it, eh?
I will relinquish it if
Okay.
there's. But at this stage, I think the number one contender in welterweight division is Jose De Rocha.
Okay.
I think he's the number one contender there. At middleweight, I don't know who they're gonna put on because there's guys that has good records who need those guys, but they haven't fought a good opponent to say, okay, this is a proper title fight. Let's do it.
Okay.
Brendan Lazar was promised the title fight, so I guess he'll get it. But I can't take that fight, unfortunately, for my career. So for me, at this stage, my next fight is in KSW. I will
Okay.
be defending my belt in
Nice.
London. So that's
In London.
in London, Wembley
Nice.
Stadium.
Time zone's nice.
Yeah, time zone's nice.
Good.
Yeah, so I will be defending my belt in London at KSW 45. I was supposed to fight David Zavada. He got signed with UFC like 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
He fought this weekend, top 15 guy,
Mhm.
and they got fight tonight actually.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, so good for him. He's actually Roberto Soldi's teammate,
Okay.
and so yeah, I mean,
Who are you fighting?
Roberto Soldic again,
Okay.
rematch. We're doing a
Rematch. The fans
yeah.
won it.
Yeah, I mean the fans. He was a champion in London. He was a champion at Bama, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
Okay.
and Cage Warriors as well. Yeah, so he was a champion there. So he has quite a following there, and then obviously there's so many South Africans living there.
Of course.
You know, so
It's a good fight.
It's a good fight
all
to
round. Yeah.
So I mean, KSW originally they said they want me to defend in December in Poland, the 1st of December. That was great for me. You know, another holiday, stay there for a while.
Sure.
But then the fight with EFC didn't happen, and I was supposed to fight for EFC, and then December. That's 3 fights for the year. That's great. And then KSW, they said, "Do I want to fight in London?" I said, "Yeah. I don't want to wait that long to
Yeah.
fight. I want to fight ASAP."
Got you.
So yeah, rather than waiting for somebody else to come online to get a title shot, getting a new sign, I said, "Cool, let's do it again." I just don't want to wait till December again. to
Got
fight.
you, dude. So you are my you are the South African equivalent of my world alien, and I'll tell you why. I believe that the world needs an alien invasion because that way everybody will stop fucking looking at borders and start fighting the aliens.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So you South Africa's guy for that, bro. All the
100%.
camps are like, I don't give a fuck who
I
you're
don't
from.
give a
You South African, and we'll support you. And dude, before your fight, after your fight, I saw all the congratulations coming from all the different
No,
camps. Like it was for us, you know. I say this very lightly, but it was like 95 World Cup.
No,
But
it
for
was
MMA guys, right?
it was
Because we all knew, and it,
You know,
fuck that, bro. I think that's
that was
fantastic.
the coolest thing. It was, you know, I got so many videos of people, the guys watching at my house, guys at restaurants watching, guys, and everybody just sent me videos of this is where we watched it, and that was probably the coolest thing
Yeah.
ever for me. The day afterwards, that was, I mean, that's
Yeah,
the,
and your
that's the
your
best
congrats
thing.
came through from everywhere. dude.
And I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, guys from every camp there was like you're saying, there was nobody that were like, oh well,
Yeah.
I don't like him. It was congratulations.
Yeah, dude, hey,
it was
because you know what?
awesome.
There was no longer camp. There was South Africa.
No, 100%, and there was a lot riding on it. I mean, South Africa going into the world.
Sure.
Thus far, we haven't done bad, but we haven't done what we can do.
Agreed.
And I felt a sense of responsibility, in sense of I was the only double division champ then. I said, listen, if I'm a double division champion in the biggest organization that Africa has, and I go out there and I get beat up, then it's going to be 5 years for us to recover from that. I mean,
Agreed.
then they're going to be like, well, obviously this guy's the best you have. Sorry, we don't have anybody else. Like, we don't care about anymore. So there was that thought was in my head a few times, and I was like, well, I mean, the only thing I can do about it is go out there and fight.
Yeah.
That's all I can do about it.
it.
I mean, just do what you can do.
And win, you know.
Even before the fight, I had no doubt that South Africa is ready for quite a few guys to
Absolutely,
compete.
dude. You know what the thing is, man. You look at any way you want to. We're a warring nation.
100%.
We always have been, and it's in us, man.
I've never fought anybody from any country that doesn't give up.
That has that drive.
That has that drive. Like
South
South
Africans.
Africans. I mean, yes, I fought guys like the Polish guys. I fought Brazilians. I fought the Croatians. They are tough and they come forward and they're like, yes, you see, this guy has a lot of fight in him. But once they get mood, if you can call it that.
Yeah, once they get rocked,
return, they're like, no.
Yeah.
This isn't that great. South Africans is definitely the fighters that I fought that has the most. Like, they don't give a shit. They're like, cool, you hit me, I'll hit you back.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, hey bro, worst happened to me on a Friday night in a pub, you know.
No, exactly, and that's one thing I have to say. South Africans
it's true,
have heart like nobody else.
Yeah.
And that's something that will get you far. Like you say, you can have all the skill in the world. You can't teach that.
You can't teach heart, bro.
So you're currently in camp now for this
Yeah.
fight?
I mean, we didn't, because we were training for a fight in EFC that was supposed to happen, that didn't happen. I was training, but relaxed. But it's very hard for me. As soon as I know I have a fight, then I start going for it. But we're trying to keep it still, making sure that I don't peak too early, train too hard too early, because that's the biggest problem for me, is starting to prepare for a fight too early and then I peak too early, or you overwork your body before the fight. So 8 weeks out is usually when I start going into
full fight camp.
But I mean, we're 12 weeks out. At 12 weeks out, we start. My diet's already 100% on.
Good.
Diet, because
which is nice.
It's a far drop for me always, but we're doing so much better with this last fight. We did a few changes. Scotty did a few changes, and that was the easiest cut of my whole career. And that was the biggest concern for us, is going
Just
in there, making weight.
Yeah.
And I got in the cage heavy, and I felt great. Felt very, very good.
Nice.
And the cut was obviously the 12 weeks before the cut's the hardest part, but the cut itself was great. It was an easy cut.
Nice.
And so that was.
Yeah, and London's going to be good from a time zone point of view as well,
100%.
which is nice. It's
Yeah.
nice and easy
And
on
that's
your body.
great with
and it's
Poland
also
as well. Poland's it's also 1 hour on
Oh,
daylight
wonderful.
savings.
Oh,
Otherwise
because
it's just normal.
they're 1 hour on the left and Poland's
Yeah.
1 hour on the right.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're there in the summer, Poland's the same as us, and if you're there in winter, it's daylight savings. Then they're 1 hour after. So it's great for me.
So if you had the choice, obviously with KSW you got a fight, but is there any specific guys in KSW, and then obviously any specific guys in EFC, if you obviously there's negotiations, but that you would like to fight?
In KSW, there's no one really that they at this moment that I can think of that I really want to fight. I'll fight basically whatever they give me, but they fighters, they don't really have guys with 2 and 4 fights. They have guys with 10 fights, 10 wins, or 12 fights. Like they won't give you a title shot unless you really
Worked
earn
up the
it,
ranks,
work up
eh?
the ranks.
Oh, really?
They have like 2 fights on the night. They don't have an undercard. Their undercard is like 2 fights. Guys making debuts, or guys like 4 fights. Polish guys usually. They only sign international talents with already
established records.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay, so
that's
that's
the
their
thing. So
game plan, eh?
They when they sign fighters, you'll see it's always like a guy with 12-1 against a guy who's 13-2, or a guy like 21-10, and like it's big records. It's guys that they sign. So as far as that goes, I mean, there's nobody specific that I'm looking for.
EFC.
EFC, At middleweight, like I know I was supposed to fight the Tsar. I can't do that fight. It's not sensible for me. It's will be the worst decision. Either way, no matter win or lose, I can't. There's no advantage for me in taking that fight. Welterweight at this stage, I've no idea. There's nobody. Like I said, I think the number one guy at welterweight now is the Rocha. I don't think
Which you fought before.
which I fought before. So at this stage, nobody there. I do think that Grenada Ritter, he has a good enough record for me. I think that's a good fight to have on your resume. He's 9-0, and that's a good fight at middleweight that I'll definitely like to have. If it comes to that, and then of course champion Dolce. I mean, if they can make that fight happen,
You want to fight him, man?
I want to fight that guy. Yeah, I want to fight. I want that fight very badly.
Yeah, he looked. Richie looked good in the last fight, Boo.
I did.
He looked better than I. Do you agree when I say he looked better than I've seen him before?
No comment.
Okay. Fair enough. Got to make a little bit of awkwardness, right?
Yeah. I don't, listen, he's an athletic guy.
Yeah.
He's obviously got a better team around him, but in terms of his knowledge base with mixed martial arts, I don't really see much in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Dricus fights him, I think Dricus will expose him and beat him. That's my view.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's your opinion, and you're entitled to it,
think
dude.
Andrew had a very bad game plan and didn't fight his fight.
He didn't, did he?
Yeah.
And he almost.
He made. I believe he made Dolce look really good, and good on Dolce. Like, listen, he fought his fight and he beat Andrew fair and square.
Yeah, he fought his way that he fights, and he
Yeah.
beat Andrew that, and I don't think a lot of people expected that.
100%.
No.
But I have to say, I have to agree with him. That wasn't the Andrew that usually gets in.
That's what I said. Okay, that's what I also said.
Because,
so I'm writing that.
100%.
Where's Andy that usually rocks up?
So Andrew for me is a guy who has, especially for his weight and size, has tremendous fitness.
Yeah.
And in this fight, that was what I was banking. Like I knew no matter what happens, once it goes past round 2.
Yeah.
Andrew's
Well, maybe we
winning
need
this
to
fight.
get Andy on the podcast because first of all, he's an incredible human being.
Yeah, what
and
an
I'd love
awesome
to.
guy.
Yeah, what an awesome guy, dude.
And
I mean,
first
hero to
generation, old school.
old school. Yeah. I mean, I coached with I trained with Andy under guerrilla warfare under Mark Herbert, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to. Please, I want to quantify it. I wasn't his coach, but when I was coaching jiu-jitsu and he was in class, he was my student.
Great.
Yeah, you know. So
Andrew is
what an
he's been in the
incredible
game for-
guy,
Yeah,
man.
what an awesome guy. Very nice guy.
Maybe we should find out, dude. I mean, because he's been in the sport forever.
I think Andrew needs to find the love for the sport again. I think he's been pressured into certain fights, these last 3 fights. I think he lost the love for it, so he's been pressured into training and not actually like absorbing the information and then presenting it in the cage. So that's my view. If he took off like a year or 6 months and actually found that love for training, and
Put a gear on.
again, whatever it is, you know,
do some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, everyone is different, but
Yeah.
I believe that Champion Dolce is a great athlete, but his understanding for mixed martial arts is not where people think it is, or where this presentation of double division.
Look, no doubt, Andy's skills are better.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we know that, and I'm not putting him down. Let me talk about the ground game because I can confidently talk about the ground game. Andy's ground game skills are far better than what was showed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, in this, like that's one thing in this fight. It wasn't.
We didn't see it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah. And tell me, Dricus, any of your guys that you can talk about, obviously, some up and coming exciting fights?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have Nerik Simos. He doesn't have anything big signed and well confirmed that I can speak of, but he's brilliant. He's that guy is very, very, very committed, and he's a future champion. I have no doubt in that. Then we have Cammy coming through the ranks. We're looking to make him the youngest.
When do you think he will sign?
Well, we hope to get him in the middle of next year. Get him to he's still in high school now.
But
so
he's only 17
yeah,
now.
I mean, then he'll be 18. So
is there an? I don't know.
No,
is there
that's
an
the
age
youngest.
limit?
There's
18 for
You need to
UFC.
be 18 to get a
You
pro
need to be
license.
18
Oh, to get a pro
So,
license.
I mean, then
Okay,
he'll be the
yeah.
youngest guy, and he's like I said, he's so committed. He's ready. Then we have Dow, Extian. He's a guy. He's out for a while now, but he'll be back soon, and he's definitely an up and coming guy. That's he was a second world champs at Taekwondo, and
Nice.
his grappling is very good. He's also, and he's a very good southpaw. So that's always a plus point if you're a natural southpaw, you have that advantage always.
Yeah, true.
But, so that's guys coming up. That's
and any
very
of your
exciting.
pros, anything interesting?
Pros, Marino is busy. He's going to have an interesting fight very soon. I'm not sure I can say anything about it.
Please don't. Boo.
Yeah, he's on his way. He's good. Gareth Persky as well.
Mm.
You know, he's getting married soon. So, but he also has a good fight that's coming up. So nothing that I can mention
Okay,
yet.
fair enough.
And,
Anything on the cards for Dan?
Excuse me.
Anything on the cards for Dan?
Not as of yet. I mean, she
Okay.
took a little time off. You know, she wasn't allowed to take any a punch for 6 months. So
Yeah.
because
Oh,
of the-
really?
yeah.
After her last fight,
Yeah,
eh?
because she broke her jaw and.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
shit.
tough for her own good.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
that's
didn't
what-
know that.
But
Dude,
when
that
I
chick is
watched
so
that
tough,
fight,
man.
I watched that fight, and I was like, Coach, tell her not to do anything. Just keep your hands up. Tell her to do that now. And we just that girl. She fought. What's that girl? The girl
The
from
Italian
Yeah.
girl, yeah.
She hits like
Like a truck.
yes. She hits that right hook. I thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, she caught Danella. And actually, the funny thing is, I thought she caught Danella with the armbar. That's why Danella tapped. She didn't. Danella. That's why it was very weird because Danella is like the most flexible person. She gets out of anything.
Mm.
The jaw was broken here and here on the top. So
Oh,
she had the triangle on.
On the
and
jaw?
There was on the jaw. And that's why she tapped.
Okay, is
because-
that why she tapped?
Yeah.
Dude, let me tell you guys one of the most fantastic stories ever in the whole world, right? So, I mean, this is how I know Dan. Dan trained with me for many, many, many years. Quantum and Gorilla, right? And when we were at Gorilla, we had a competition, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition. And this is when I realized there's something special about this chick. She'd been doing Jiu-Jitsu, I can't remember, a couple of months. And she entered and there was no girls. So she said, Hans, can I enter the boys competition? So we spoke about it. We said, yeah, you can enter the boys competition. So she enters the boys competition. And Dan is very blessed in certain areas, right? So in certain assets, and the joke was always, use your assets, Dan. So, you know, use your weight. So she's busy rolling with this guy, switches from side control to mount. I'm standing on the side and I shout out, use your assets. So she bases down, right? Puts her assets in this poor gentleman's face. He's like, no, switches his hands up. She switched on him and armbarred him.
Yes, you know.
Dude, that whole place went fucking insane.
No, I mean when you grapple with her, it's unbelievable. She's like all over the place. Yes,
Dude,
you can't
she
even hold it down.
She's
Yes.
legitimately one of the most flexible people I've ever seen in
No,
my life.
for
man.
sure.
I'd hold her in side control and she'd literally take her leg and put it like that and re-guard
Yeah,
me.
no, she's
Like, it's insane.
like
how
that's crazy.
fucking
I'm always
flexible
like,
she
you're
is.
not supposed to get your guard back on me.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah,
double
I'm
your
inside.
size, and
Exactly.
I'm a champion, man. Come on, don't do that. Have some
Exactly.
respect.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. You don't
But like you
do
said,
that.
she's too tough for her and good. I mean,
Yeah.
For a true girl, she is the toughest
Hey?
person. Yes.
And a psychiatrist.
Exactly.
Now, I've got to get her back in the podcast. I mean, she was
100%.
she proverbially popped my podcast virginity,
Huh.
right?
Yeah.
She is the first.
No, yes. you
One
are.
of the
That's
last
awesome,
questions from my side. A lot of people don't know, but maybe just chat about your head coach Monet. Like, what's his role with you, Team CIT? Like, a lot of people, he's a guy that's very behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
he's the guy that kind of never really wants to be on any mediums of media, podcasts or anything. So maybe you can just share some light.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
that.
Renee's in my eyes, he's a mentor for me. He's a brilliant person, and he shaped me into the fight that I am today. He's a brilliant coach, and he does this purely for one reason, and that's the love of the sport and the camaraderie that goes with.
Yeah, I've heard
with it.
that.
And you know, Renee's always there. He doesn't gain financially from this at all.
No, he probably
with
loses.
with the
Probably.
it's I mean, he's there every day, every night. We have one session a day with him.
No.
That's our main session at CIT, and he comes from work, he gets there, and we train. It's whenever there's TV stuff, he's like, no, what no one from me. That's not in his goal ever.
Mm.
He's just having fun with it all, I think, and
Yeah.
he's been involved in sports like this his whole life. Wrestling, he's wrestled his whole life.
Was that his background?
His
eh?
background is,
Okay.
and the Kyokushin karate as well.
Okay.
So as a kid, he boxed and did wrestling. He then had to make a choice between the two, and he chose wrestling. And he was SA champion, I think, 7 years running as a wrestler. He
Mm.
was a very, very good wrestler. and he did Kyokushin, and then you know, as far as it goes back, I know he had a lot of K1 world champions. He had a lot of K1. He had the best pro K1 fighters in the country.
Which Leon was.
Yeah, Leon and Jumelo Maputa and Leon and Jackson, and they also had Nico, who's helping us as striking coach now as well.
Nice.
The gym. He was a legitimate world champion, professional world champion in K1. He was unbelievable, and he still is. I mean, if you look at that guy hitting a bag, he unfortunately had an injury, can't fight anymore at all. He had an accident. So, but if you see him, the way he shadow boxes and the way he hits a bag, it's
Yeah, you can just see that.
this guy.
Yeah.
So, and Monet's so brilliant in putting it all together. You know, making sure, like, yes, you train your ground game, you train your wrestling, you train your stand-up. Putting that all together, that's the art on his own. Like, I always say it when I fight, if I had to fight, let's say Roberto Soldic in a boxing match, he would most probably knock me out. If I had to fight him in a K1 fight, I mean, you know, that's my background, but maybe he'll win me there.
Yeah.
If I had to fight him in a wrestling match, purely,
maybe
you'd even win me.
Okay.
If I fight him in a grappling match, in grappling, there's a lot of guys that I've beaten on the ground that will beat me. If I had to grapple Yannick Badi, I'm sure he'll beat me. I'm not 100% sure. But once it comes to MMA,
Putting everything together,
and that's where I excel, and that's where Monet becomes a brilliant coach in putting that all together.
Yeah.
You know,
well, a lot of guys don't know. I mean, it's Team CRT, but that actually comes from CRT Motorcycle.
CRT
right?
Motorcycle.
So he's a very successful businessman.
Very, yeah.
Now, what is running a team?
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
It's a goddamn business, bro.
So for him, Monet, as far when the team goes, Monet is like always, even now building with this gym. So it's me, Scott, and Monet. That's the owners of this the new Performance Institute. So whenever we go to Monet about, well, he's obviously we're going in 3 ways financially, and he's like, he doesn't care. He's like, yes, he gives the money his part, and whenever we go to him with a problem that's happening, he's like, no, I don't want to hear about that. I'm there to coach. That's it. The professionals only. I'm there to coach the pros. That's what I do. Like, he doesn't.
Okay, so he's actually leaving it up to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So for him, he doesn't want to be part of any there's no politics for him. Like, he gets there, he rocks there. That's what he wants. He doesn't want anything to do with if there's events on a weekend. He doesn't. That's not his thing. He doesn't worry about that.
I've only ever seen him backstage at 1EFC.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
one.
Oh no, we have.
No, he comes in quite often. I mean, if we have a big fight card on the way, but what's cool is he trusts me or whoever to go. Like, he'll send somebody like a team captain or someone that's been in the team for a while to go if he can't make it, because like I said, he's a busy guy. I mean, he has a farm, he has the business,
his family.
He has his family. So I mean, he can't always be there. And like we said, this isn't a job for him. This is 100% a hobby.
Yeah,
100%. And no, it can be concerning for some people saying, "Oh, but listen, is he giving you the best coaching?"
Well, if he wasn't, you'd leave.
100%.
Simple,
he's phenomenal. And
simple.
I mean, he's made me a world champion.
Because you could go to anybody, boo. You could probably go to anybody in the world right now, right?
No, 100%.
The fact that you choose to stay with him is testament to what he's done for you.
Yeah, 100%. He's a brilliant coach, and like I said, I mean, it's not all about the coaching. It's a lot of it's about the camaraderie and
everything else.
I think that makes it so much better, so much more easy. Because I believe as a fighter, whether your coach is good or bad, if you can't believe in your coach 100%, you should be leaving. There's no way. You can't even, like, a lot of times when they will tell me something, and I'll be like, okay, cool, I'll do it. And I'm doubting it because I'm like, yes, you really think that will work? But not for 1 second. So I think, no, I'm not going to try that. That's not going to work. I give it a shot 100% for at least for a few weeks before I can say this works for me or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And for some guys it works and for some guys it doesn't.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, for you this is not working, so we're not going to use this with you. Sorry. But I believe as an athlete, if you don't believe in your coach, 100% back your stuff and go.
I couldn't agree more, man.
You can't.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
100%, because that's the guy you're gonna turn to when shit goes down. You know, when you're in a fight and you're like, oh, shit, like this guy, nothing I'm doing is working. That's the guy you have to trust. 100%.
100%. And I've seen the difference between good coaches, 2 rounds down, you busy losing, and that you've got 1 minute with your coach before you go into round
stand
3.
Stand up. How can I stand up on the
I want to fucking die.
Yes, no, exactly. So it's,
And sometimes it's harsh words, sometimes it's soft words, sometimes it's reiteration of game plan. So you know
what's cool is it's so weird for people because some of my best friends, Michiel is obviously
He's your best mate, eh?
Besties, and the problem is, me and Michiel, we differed 10 years.
Yeah.
Then Mornay, my other best mate, he's 46.
Yeah.
So when we go out, it would be me, Michiel, Mornay. We'll go out for a night. We'll go out for beers, and it's so weird because Mornay is literally double my age.
Yeah.
But we're there as friends. We're not there, and we'll talk about fighting, and we'll talk about what happens and the way we do things, what I do wrong and what I do right. It's cool, but it's friends. It's 100% friendship.
You can switch off.
Once we get in that gym, he can be as nice to me as he wanted. Just before I just went to his shop, just had a beer with him. He'll be as nice. When he gets in that gym, it's not friends anymore. It's coach, student.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to listen to him, he will
And I'll tell you why he can do that, right? Be so successful because he's a businessman.
100%.
Okay,
he can split his business in his pleasure.
100%.
That's what
and
makes
that's
him
that
very,
in
very
its,
good.
listen, that in itself is an art, eh? I've seen many
100%.
managers and many business owners who can't do that.
That's the biggest problem. That's when you start getting problems because if he's going to handle me like a friend always, how is he going to train me properly?
Well, that's it. So I've got a lot of students who are my friends. Yeah, that's cool. But when this class starts, I'm here to coach you.
Yeah.
And if you eventually you actually got to get to the point where you go, all right, well, if you don't want that, then leave.
No,
because
for
that's
sure.
the best thing for our friendship.
Remember, I coach my brother. He's my older brother.
Yeah.
And, I coached him from amateur, from his first fight to now he's a pro. So, he's 4 years older than me. He was my matric when I was grade 8. So, for me to tell him, listen, I don't want to hear your stories. You have to do this and this and this. I'm coaching him.
It's hard, man.
And then we live together. Then he's the older brother again.
Yeah. Then he's the boss of you.
Yeah, no. So that's like you say, that's what Monet does brilliantly. That's an art on its own to be able to separate the work from the play and vice versa.
Absolutely, man. And then last thing on your beer.
Yeah.
Right, stillnox.
Yeah.
It's out now, right?
It's out. So we took a little bit of a hit. Now, so it came out, it was booming, it was awesome, and the guy that was brewing it for us, every week, every month he would be like, okay, now the price is up for this and this, and after a while it just didn't make sense anymore because he was brewing it for us.
Yeah.
We had a brewer
company
brewing it for us, and now officially from 2 weeks ago we brewed our first batch ourselves.
Nice.
We have a kettle, we have a brewmaster at our Iron Throne restaurant.
Okay.
And the beer is being brewed there by ourselves now, and we can make so much more, 4,000 liters a week if we want to.
Oh, brilliant.
And,
so you guys have actually got tanks,
yeah,
eh?
we got tanks, we've got everything, kettles, everything, so we're doing everything 100% ourselves now.
How brilliant.
Bottling everything,
That's
so
so
that's
cool,
awesome.
man.
And now it's so much, cutting a lot of costs like that, and
Sure.
we don't have to wait for that guy saying, oh no, we have a bigger order, so we have to wait, or we have to pay more every month. Like now the price is up from $20 a liter to $25 a liter, and then it just doesn't make sense anymore. So now we're doing everything ourselves, and it's great.
Brilliant.
It's awesome.
So stillnox is out.
It's out. It's going.
If I want to get some, how do I get some?
Social media, you can either Iron Throne breweries or myself, and that's how we run it through Iron Throne breweries.
I want to make an offer to you, and I'm making it on behalf of a mate of mine, but I know he won't mind. He's a jiu-jitsu boy. A mate of mine owns a restaurant in Durban called S43.
Okay.
And S43 has been brewing their own beers for years, and they are, man, S43 is
Awesome.
incredible. He's also a jiu-jitsu guy. His coach is a guy by the name of Daryl Fort. And if you're ever in Durban, first of all, they'll look after you on the mats.
Great.
But second of all, pop by his restaurant, man. Go
I
check
will,
it out.
definitely,
And he can
100%.
give you so much advice.
Oh, that
You
would
must
be
see-
awesome.
You must see their
Well, I don't know what their stance is at the moment, but that's what we do. Our restaurant, Iron Throne Breweries, it's all about craft beers. We
Yeah,
have
that's
a
what-
lot of them.
so
So
it's-
if they ever want to get a tap in there, they're more than welcome to.
Maybe we do a
I mean,
vice versa
yeah,
thing.
we can do
Hey,
a-
beer, it's all about the it's all about the jiu-jitsu and the fighters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We look after one another.
Networking, that's what it's called.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anyway, guys, that's been close to 2 hours, if not longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you, man.
Already,
it was
eh?
great.
Mr. Du Plessis, what a pleasure having you on the podcast,
Guys, it
dude.
was awesome.
Finally.
Great.
And Richie Quan,
Good.
thank you, bud.
Rich,
Much
it was
appreciated.
awesome.
Good.
It's very good to share with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. All right, guys. So long and thanks for all the fish. Ciao.
Cheers.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. I hope you didn't have any issues with the sound. As always, this episode of the show is brought to you by Jared Smith, who's my main equipment sponsor and the Thought Lab sound engineer. He's just dropped a new cover of Hurt Somebody by Noah Khan on Facebook and YouTube. Guys, do yourself a favor, man. Go check it out. It is unbelievable. And then, of course, thanks to Tellytrack for offering up the studio space. Thank you to Adele, thank you to Wesley, and thank you to Dieter for always looking after me. And if you want to get your bet on, you can go and check them out at www.tellytrack.com. That's TELLYTRACK.com. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. We're done and dusted. On to the next one for next week. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic week. I'll catch you next time. Ciao.